Railway tracks cut through Pennsylvania like veins of steel and shadow. By day, they carry freight and passengers across rivers, valleys, and forests. By night, some bridges awaken with a life of their own. Locals whisper trains that run without engines, whistles that scream across empty valleys, and lights that appear along the tracks when no one should be there. Some bridges are old, rotting, abandoned, yet the tracks remain clear, as if invisible locomotives pass through, carrying passengers long dead. Travelers have heard rhythmic clattering in the darkness, footsteps echoing on wooden ties, and the chilling whistle of trains that should not exist. Some who witness these ghost trains vanish. Others survive, but never speak of what they saw. Tonight, we will walk through the 25 most haunted railway bridges in Pennsylvania, places where metal and would intersect with the supernatural, where ghosts ride trains that no longer run, where the past refuses to stay buried. Step carefully. The whistle may sound at any moment, and the next train may not stop for you. Hello, my friend. I hope you are well tonight, and that you are ready to journey into the dark heart of Pennsylvania's haunted rails. Bridges rise over rivers and valleys, connecting towns and histories. Some have witnessed tragedies. Some have seen entire crews vanish in the night. And some have simply become doorways to the world of the dead. Ghost trains are more than legend. People have seen them glowing with spectral light, passing through bridges with no engine or crew. Some trains whistle mournfully, sounding exactly like the ones that ran a century ago. Locals say the bridges remember. The bridges remember every accident, every crash, every life lost on the tracks. And the spirits of those lost still ride these trains, searching for a way to return home, or perhaps for someone to join them. Before we begin, let me ask you something. If you were standing on an abandoned railway bridge at night, and you heard the whistle of a ghost train approaching, would you run, or would you stay and watch? Think carefully. Your answer may tell more about you than fear itself. May your courage guide you safely through these haunted crossings. And may the trains remain only in story for your journey tonight. Black Hollow Bridge stands as one of the oldest structures in the region, stretching across a deep ravine shrouded in constant fog. Its weathered beams and iron supports carry the weight of history, a testament to human ingenuity and perseverance, but also to tragedy. The bridge was built in the 1800s, and even now it evokes a sense of awe and unease, a place where time feels suspended and the past lingers with every gust of wind. A place where time feels suspended and the past lingers with every gust of wind. During construction, whispers tell of workers disappearing without a trace. Entire teams vanished, leaving tools abandoned and meals uneaten. Locals believe their spirits never left, trapped in the bridge itself, bound to the stone and steel by unfinished work and untold sorrow. Visitors claim to hear faint voices, echoing across the ravine in the early morning hours, blending with the creak of the wooden planks and the rush of wind. Fog clings to the ravine in thick layers, moving like liquid over the water below. Steps taken on the old planks seem louder, echoing into the mist, while shadows twist along the beams and cables, taking on shapes that vanish if looked at directly. The air is cold, heavy, and carries a weight that seems older than the bridge itself, a presence felt rather than seen. Those who approach at night often report strange lights along the tracks. Ghost trains are said to cross the bridge at midnight, glowing faintly through the fog. The apparition moves slowly, spectral engines and carriages rolling over the tracks with no sound other than a soft rumble that vibrates through the planks. Some witnesses swear they can see figures inside the train, pale workers from the bridge's construction, staring blankly ahead as though completing a journey that began more than a century ago. History and legend intertwine here, forming a narrative that is part fact and part folklore. The bridge itself seems to hold memory, recording echoes of each tragedy, each footstep, each whispered warning, and replaying them when the conditions are right, when fog, silence, and night align. Visitors often describe a feeling of being watched. Even alone, the bridge does not feel empty. Shadows stretch in impossible directions. The faint clanging of iron resonates through the air. as if unseen hands are adjusting or repairing the structure. Some feel a brush on their shoulder or the sensation of someone walking just behind them, only to find themselves alone when they turn. The experience is subtle yet chilling. A reminder that Black Hollow Bridge exists on the boundary between the present and the past. The natural surroundings contribute to the sense of isolation. The ravine drops sharply beneath the bridge, filled with dark water that seems to swallow sound. Trees crowd the edges, their branches reaching toward the bridge as though to hold it in place. Wind whistles through the cables and beams, carrying with it the cries of the long-gone workers, amplified and distorted by the mist. Every element of the landscape works together to create an atmosphere that is at once beautiful, foreboding, and alive with memory. Even in daylight, the bridge commands respect. Sunlight filtering through fog illuminates beams and planks in patterns that shift constantly, creating fleeting images that vanish as soon as they are noticed. The texture of old wood and rusted metal tells a story of endurance, labor, and tragedy. Tourists pause to take photographs, but many leave with an uneasy feeling, as though they have witnessed something that cannot be explained, a lingering presence that remains even after they depart. At night, the Bridgia-esque energy intensifies. Footsteps echo more sharply. Shadows grow longer, and the fog thickens, rolling across the planks like a tide. Witnesses describe ghostly figures appearing and disappearing, workers who never finish their tasks, and trains that cross the span in silence. Some hikers and urban explorers return repeatedly, drawn by the allure of the supernatural and the history embedded in every beam and plank. Legends also tell warnings. Those who approach without respect or caution may feel sudden resistance, as if invisible hands guide them back. The fog thickens, steps feel heavier, and compasses spin without reason. People are urged to tread carefully, to acknowledge the history and the spirits lingering within the bridge. Many who disregard these subtle signs report fleeting glimpses of figures standing on the rails, waiting silently, or hearing their names called softly from fog. Black Hollow Bridge embodies the convergence of history, tragedy, and the unexplained. It is a place where architecture and atmosphere combine to create a haunting experience, where every creak, whisper, and shadow contributes to the narrative of loss and endurance. The bridge is more than wood and iron. It is a living reminder of the lives that shaped it and the mysteries that continue to inhabit it. Time and again, witnesses describe leaving the bridge with a sensation that it watches them long after they depart. The spectral trains, the echoing voices, the shifting shadowsa all leave impressions that linger. Black Hollow Bridge is not simply a passage over a ravine. It is a connection between past and present, between the living and those who remain. It is a bridge in every sense of the word, a structure, a history, and a story that continues to unfold in the fog, under the moon, and in the imagination of all who dare to cross it. Even today, the bridge stands strong, its beams and rails holding fast despite the passage of centuries. Fog rolls endlessly over the ravine, and the cries of workers long gone mix with the wind. Black Hollow Bridge is timeless, a monument to human achievement and human loss. A place where the ordinary world fades and the spectral takes hold. Those who cross it find themselves walking not only on wood and iron, but on history, memory, and the lingering whispers of the past. Ironclad crossing stretches across the landscape like a memory frozen in time. Once a bustling route for freight and travelers. The rails now lie mostly silent, their metal glinting faintly in the sunlight, warped and rusted by decades of neglect. Wooden ties creak under the weight of the wind, and sections of track have succumbed to the earth, swallowed by grass and weeds. Despite its abandonment, the crossing is far from empty. Travelers often describe hearing the distant clatter of rails and the vibration of a train moving along the tracks, though no locomotive has passed here for decades. The sound rises gradually, a low rumble that shakes the ground beneath their feet, only to vanish suddenly, leaving the mind questioning what was real. Shadows seem to gather along the old rails, Figures appear, sitting rigid in invisible cars or leaning from phantom windows. They ride silently, motionless yet unmistakably human, their presence fleeting, vanishing the moment one tries to focus on them. Those who have lingered report a cold breeze, sharp and sudden, carrying with it the scent of iron, smoke, and a faint hint of oil, as if the past refuses to relinquish its hold. The surrounding landscape amplifies the sensation of unease. The ground is uneven, littered with old railroad debris and fragments of forgotten cargo. Even the wind seems to carry voices, murmuring conversations and the faint hum of mechanical operations, echoing faintly from a time long past. At twilight, ironclad crossing transforms. Shadows lengthen, stretching across the rail ties, and the faint vibration returns, synchronized with an imagined clatter of wheels on metal. Visitors often feel a presence behind them, a subtle pressure that follows their steps. Yet, when they turn, no one is there. Some swear they can see the flicker of lanterns in the distance, lights that belong to no train currently in service. The more daring wander near the center of the crossing. Phantom cars roll past, doors opening and closing with. Whispers echo through empty cars, soft and unintelligible, brushing against the ears of the living. The sensation is disorienting, blending perception with imagination. Yet for those who have witnessed it, the reality is undeniable. Rust spreads over iron beams and crossing gates, yet the energy of the old route seems to persist. Tracks that should be dead vibrate beneath footfalls, and old signals flicker momentarily with the ghost of electricity. Old signals flicker momentarily with the ghost of electricity. The crossing holds echoes of every train that once rumbled along its lines, each cargo manifest, each passenger, preserving the lingering vibrations and spectral impressions that haunt the area. Local lore warns travelers not to linger after dark. Tales speak of people drawn to the rails, mesmerized by the sound of wheels and the scent of burning coal. Some have stepped onto invisible cars, vanished without a trace, their last expressions frozen in terror or wonder. Those who survive speak a sensation of being watched, as if unseen conductors still navigate the rails and mark every movement of the living. The environment of ironclad crossing feels suspended between worlds. The natural sounds of wind and wildlife mix with the persistent hum of the old tracks, creating an unsettling harmony. Occasional glimpses of figures bending to lift cargo or leaning over rails in contemplation hint at lives once lived, echoing long after flesh and bone have returned to the earth. Even during the day, the crossing maintains a sense of tension. Sunlight glints off metal and splintered wood, casting shapes that mimic human forms. The rail seems to stretch endlessly, disappearing into shadows and overgrown sections. Travelers report that walking its length feels longer than it should, as though the crossing extends not just across the land, but into time itself. Some investigators have returned with recordings of inexplicable sounds, the creak of couplings, the hiss of brakes, the faint clatter of wheels on tracks. Audio analysis reveals nothing concrete, yet anyone present during recording swears the phenomena occurred. Photographs sometimes capture shadowed figures in windows or on the tracks, too vague to identify, yet too precise to dismiss. Ironclad crossing endures as a bridge between past and present. The phantom trains and their silent passengers are reminders that history does not vanish. It lingers, shaping perception and experience. Travelers who walk its paths leave changed, carrying with them the sensation of unseen observers, faint vibrations underfoot, and the echo of wheels that will never truly stop. The crossing remains a place of caution and fascination. Every visitor feels a pull of the past, the spectral presence of iron and motion. Shadows drift across ties, whispers follow the living, and phantom trains traverse tracks long rusted and broken. Ironclad crossing is a site where history refuses to rest, a haunting of industry and movement, a testament to the persistence of memory and the power of places to hold the echoes of those who came before. Those who leave speak of feeling the vibration under their feet long after returning to solid ground. The whispers The flickering lights and the fleeting figures become memories, but ones that refuse to fade completely. Ironclad Crossing is not simply abandoned. It is alive with the presence of its past. A place where the living touch the edges of spectral and witness the enduring power of a railroad that continues to move through time, unseen yet undeniable. Mistwood Viaduct stretches across a deep valley, its wooden ties worn smooth by decades of passage. Thick mist settles constantly around the bridge, weaving through the iron framework and curling along the rails like a living thing. The fog dampens sound yet carries faint echoes, making even the smallest noise seem amplified and eerie. Travelers who approach the viaduct often report an unsettling sensation, as if the air itself is watching. Spectral lights appear along the rails, flickering in patterns that seem deliberate, guiding or warning those who wander too close. Footsteps echo across the wooden ties, yet no figure is ever visible. The sound rises and falls, sometimes coming from behind, sometimes from the center of the bridge, impossible to locate. Local lore claims that a ghost engineer haunts the viaduct. Some say the train is visible only in glimpses, appearing through the mist for a few seconds before vanishing entirely. Others hear the clatter of wheels and the hiss of steam without ever seeing the engine. Those who experience these events describe a heavy feeling of anticipation, as if the bridge itself is holding its breath. The structure of Mistwood Viaduct amplifies its spectral reputation. Its wooden ties creak under even the slightest weight, producing sound that seem to echo from another era. The mist hides the valley below, making each step uncertain. Shadows shift unnaturally among the beams, and the faint outlines of figures sometimes appear along the edges, vanishing when observed directly. The combination of fog, height, and sound creates an atmosphere that is both beautiful and deeply unsettling. Many who traverse the viaduct speak of a profound sense of isolation. Even during daylight, the mist clings, obscuring the surrounding forest and rendering the valley invisible. The distant sounds of wildlife are muffled, replaced by the rhythmic echoes of unseen footsteps. Visitors often feel compelled to quicken their pace, driven by the instinctive awareness that they are being observed by something beyond ordinary perception. The legend of the ghost engineer is tied to a tragic history. Long ago, a train derailed near the viaduct during a storm, taking the lives of several crew members. Since that time, locals say the bridge has been cursed with their restless spirits. Reports of ghostly sightings increased after the accident, with spectral lights, phantom whistles, and unexplained footsteps becoming part of the viaduct's lore. Witnesses describe the air as growing colder and heavier when these phenomena occur, as if the presence is pressing down from all directions. Nightfall intensifies the experience. The mist thickens into a solid-seeming wall, muffling sound and bending light. Spectral lights along the tracks appear brighter in contrast, moving slowly or flickering in response to movement on the bridge. Shadows stretch and shift along the beams, creating the illusion of figures walking beside, behind, or even in front of the observer. Footsteps continue to echo in unpredictable patterns, sometimes running parallel to rails, other times approaching from the valley below. Those brave enough to linger report additional phenomena. Cold gusts of wind sweep across the viaduct, carrying faint smells of coal smoke and damp wood. Occasionally, the whistle of a long-dead train pierces the air, sharp and distant, yet unmistakable. The sensation of movement follows visitors, even when the mist and darkness obscure any possible source. Some claim to feel a subtle tug that seems to guide them toward the center of the bridge. Despite its reputation, Mistwood Viaduct draws visitors who seek the thrill of the unknown. Photographers and paranormal enthusiasts attempt to capture glimpses of lights and shadows, while hikers and travelers pass through with a mixture of awe and trepidation. Every step along the worn wooden ties is a reminder of the Bridge's long history, the tragedies it witnessed, and the mysterious phenomena that continue to unfold. The beauty of the viaduct and its surroundings contrast sharply with the haunting experiences it inspires. The bridge itself, with its dark beams and weathered ties, seems to exist in a space between past and present. Every sound, every shadow, and every flicker of light contributes to a sense that this place is alive with memory, memory that refuses to rest. Those who leave Mistwood Viaduct often speak of a lingering awareness. Even after returning to solid ground, the echo of footsteps remains etched in memory. The Misty Bridge stands as a testament to the unseen, a place where legend and experience merge, where the past persists, and where travelers are reminded that some structures hold more than the weight of their physical form. Where travelers are reminded that some structures hold more than the weight of their physical form. Those who leave Mistwood Viaduct often speak of a lingering awareness. In every creak of a tie, every whisper of fog, and every spectral glow along the rails, Mistwood Viaduct tells its story. It is a place where the ordinary becomes extraordinary, where silence speaks, and where shadows hint at lives that continue to traverse the bridge long after the living have moved on. To stand here is to witness the intersection of history, mystery, and the persistent echo of the unknown. The viaduct endures, shrouded in mist and memory. Spectral lights glide across the rails. Footsteps resonate without source. And the legend of the ghost engineer continues to captivate. Visitors depart with a mix of wonder and unease, knowing that Mistwood Viaduct is not merely a bridge, but a threshold into a realm where the past lingers. The unseen watches, and the line between the living and the spectral blurs into the mist. Widow's Rail Bridge stretches across a quiet valley, its steel beams creaking with age. The tracks, rusted and weathered, hold a memory of countless trains that once thundered across the span. By day, it is a relic of history, standing silent among overgrown vegetation. By night, it becomes a place where the past refuses to rest, where whispers ride the wind along the rails. The bridge earned its name from a tragic accident in the 1920s. Construction workers, eager to complete the crossing, met with disaster. Several men fell to their deaths, their lives claimed by a moment of misfortune and the unforgiving structure. Locals say that their absence left an echo, a grief that lingers long after the machinery fell silent. At dusk, the bridge takes on a different presence. Shadows stretch across the steel, and the rail ties groan under their own weight. A chill often settles in the air, carrying with it the faint scent of iron and rain. Travelers report a sense of unease, as if unseen eyes followed along the tracks, measuring each step with quiet attention. The most persistent legend speaks of widows, the grieving spouses of the fallen workers. They appear along the rails, often dressed in garments that flutter in the night breeze. Some witnesses claim to see them waving, their movements deliberate and sorrowful, as if greeting trains that have long ceased to run. The figures vanish when approached, leaving only the sound of footsteps that fade into the darkness. The bridge itself seems alive with memory. Steel beams resonate with invisible vibrations, and the wooden ties shift subtly beneath the weight of invisible footsteps. On foggy nights, the mist curls along the rails, forming shapes that resemble distant figures or fleeting apparitions. The echoes of past tragedies blend with the natural sounds of wind and water, creating an atmosphere that is both haunting and hypnotic. Residents of the nearby town recount stories passed down through generations. Children are warned not to wander near the bridge after dark. Fishermen on the river below speak of strange reflections in the water, glimpses of figures that do not belong to the living. Some describe a sensation of being watched, an unseen presence that observes without interference. Even during the day, the bridge carries a sense of foreboding. The steel is worn and pitted with rust, the rail ties splintered and uneven. Moss and ivy climb along the supports, clinging to the structure like memories of the past. The river below reflects the bridge in distorted ripples, as if showing a parallel world where tragedy still lingers. And shadows move with intent. Nightfall brings the bridge to life in ways that defy explanation. Some report hearing the distant roar of a train, long decommissioned, echoing through the valley. The sound grows nearer, only to vanish as suddenly as it appeared. Figures are glimpsed along the rails, some kneeling, some standing, always watching. Their presence is subtle, a disturbance in the darkness that hints at grief, longing, and unfinished business. Those who have dared to linger near Widowa Rail Bridge speak of an overwhelming sadness, a sense that the past is pressing in from all sides. Cold gusts of wind brush against their faces, carrying whispers that cannot be understood. Shadows flit along the edges of vision, and the faint sound of hands brushing steel or footsteps echoing along the ties can unsettle even the most steadfast observer. The bridge serves as a reminder of the fragility of life and the persistence of memory. Tragedy that occurred nearly a century ago still leaves its mark, shaping the landscape and the stories of those who live nearby. A reminder that loss lingers in both visible and invisible ways. Visitors today come seeking more than history. They come for the thrill of the unknown, the chance to witness something that belongs to another time. Cameras capture fleeting shadows, and recordings sometimes capture sound that cannot be explained. The rails of Widow's Bridge stretch into darkness, inviting and warning in equal measure. Every creak of steel, every rustle of the night wind, and every flicker of movement hints at a story that has never truly ended. Those who walk the bridge feel the weight of decades of memory pressing down upon them. The echo of lives cut short, and the silent figures that await each passing night. The bridge endures as a place apart from the ordinary world, a threshold between history and the supernatural. Steel and would hold the energy of sorrow and vigilance. Each night, the widows may return, silhouettes against the mist, reminding anyone who watches that some stories never end and some grief is eternal. In the quiet of the valley, the bridge stands as both monument and warning. It is a place where past and present meet, where memory lingers on steel rails, and where the living can catch a glimpse of shadows that refuse to rest. Widowa Rail Bridge is a reminder that some losses echo forever, and that the night belongs to those who have never left. Raven's hollow trestle stands high above a mist-covered valley, its wooden beams weathered and darkened by decades of rain and wind. The structure stretches across the hollow like a silent sentinel, unyielding and imposing, a relic of a bygone era, when trains thundered over its rails carrying goods and passengers through the remote countryside. Today, the bridge remains deserted, yet it hums with a presence that can be felt rather than seen. Crows circle above the trestle constantly, their black wings cutting through the morning fog. Locals say these birds are more than ordinary, that they mimic the sound of whistle of ghost trains that once ran over the rails. On quiet mornings, when the wind is still and the fog hangs low, visitors claim they can hear a distant, eerie whistle carried by the air, the sound rising and falling as if a spectral locomotive is approaching from nowhere. The hollow beneath the trestle is thick with mist. Shadows seem to slip along the rails, moving independently of light or source. Some travelers report glimpsing figures standing motionless at the edge of the bridge, disappearing if approached, leaving only a chill in the air and the distant cawing of crows. The sense of being watched is constant, as if the bridge itself holds memory, replaying echoes of accidents, long past journeys, and those who vanished along its span. During its operational years, the trestle was a vital link in the transportation network. Workers labored tirelessly to maintain it, often under dangerous conditions. Records speak of several who disappeared during repairs or fell from the beams into the hollow below. Some say their spirits never left, trapped in the Bridgia framework, eternally bound to the structure they once maintained. When fog thickens over the valley, whispers are said to rise from the hollow, unintelligible at first, then forming words carried by the wind, warnings and names spoken softly, urging travelers to move quickly or turn back. The trestle commands respect even during daylight hours. Sunlight filtering through the fog creates shifting patterns on the wooden planks, fleeting illusions that appear and vanish before the eye can focus. A sudden gust of wind carries with the faint scent of smoke and iron, remnants of steam engines that once roared over the rails. Those who pause to listen can feel the heartbeat of the bridge, a rhythm of past and present intertwined. At night, Raven's hollow trestle transforms entirely. The fog rolls in thicker, swallowing the rails and plunging the hollow into darkness. Shadows lengthen and stretch across the beams, some taking forms vaguely human, others impossible to define. The crows gather, their cries sharp and penetrating, echoing across a valley. Witnesses describe a sensation of movement at the edge of vision, the impression of being followed along the rails, and the low, haunting sound of a train approaching, though no train has crossed in decades. Legends say that those who disrespect a bridge or venture onto it with ill intentions encounter resistance. The fog becomes heavier, steps feel weightier, and the cold presses against the skin as if the hollow itself is alive. Travelers have reported tools falling inexplicably, ropes tightening around railings, and a sudden chill that signals the presence of unseen eyes. The stories serve as warnings, cautioning visitors to honor the history and spirits that linger here. The crows, ever present, are believed to act as guardians. Their cawing is said to mimic the spectral whistle of ghost trains, a signal that the bridge is alive with memory. When a visitor hears the call, it is a reminder that Ravenna S. Hollow Trestle exists on the boundary of the living and the dead, where history, tragedy, and mystery intersect. The birds watch silently, circling endlessly, black wings cutting through mist and shadow, as if guiding the curious and warning the unwary. Even when the fog lifts, the trestle retains a palpable energy. Visitors feel the weight of the past pressing down. The shadows seem to linger longer than they should. A chill wind carries faint whispers along the rails, moments stretching and contracting as the bridge relives its own history, inviting those who dare to walk its span into a connection with the unseen. Raven's Hollow Trestle is more than a bridge. It is a monument to human endeavor, a repository of memory, and a stage for the unexplained. Every visitor leaves changed, carrying with them the sense that the bridge watches, waits, and remembers. No matter the hour, the trestle commands attention. The crows circle endlessly. The rails stretch across the hollow like veins of history, and the fog drifts between the beams like restless spirits. The hollow below remains quiet yet alive, a living reminder that some places are more than they appear, that structures can hold echoes of the past, and that Raven's Hollow Trestle will continue to guard its secrets, haunting the minds and footsteps of all who cross its span. Those who come seeking the bridge find themselves caught between reality and legend. Each step across the worn planks is a journey through time, through stories of workers, travelers, and lost souls. The whistle in the fog, the shifting shadows, and the ever-present crows serve as a testament that some mysteries refuse to fade. Raven's Hollow Trestle endures, a bridge not only over the hollow but over history, memory, and the lingering presence of the unseen. Ironheart Bridge rises across the river like a monument to industry and tragedy. Constructed to carry heavy coal trains, its steel beams and riveted girders stretch over the water, dark and imposing. Time and neglect have left rust streaks along the supports, and the wooden ties creak under the weight of the wind, echoing through the empty spans. The bridge is silent by day, but as dusk falls, the atmosphere shifts. Travelers report the distant clatter of coal cars moving across the bridge, their wheels rolling on steel rails, though no locomotive or engineer is present. The sound starts softly, almost indistinct, then grows louder, shaking the air and stirring an uneasy anticipation in anyone nearby. Lanterns flicker in the darkness, suspended in empty train cars, swaying as though held by hands long gone. The glow is faint, an amber light that does not illuminate the surrounding steel, but highlights shadows that move independently. Some visitors swear they can see figures crouching in the cars, inspecting coal loads, then vanish when approached. The river below adds to the sense of unease. Fog drifts along the surface, curling around the piers and rising to meet the bridge. Occasionally, the mist seems to form shapes, shadows that mirror the motion of unseen workers. Their labor is repeated endlessly. A sudden drop in temperature accompanies these sightings, a cold that seems to seep into bones, making the air heavy and the skin prickly. Those who linger report the sound of footsteps along the wooden ties, matching the rhythm of rolling cars. Yet when they look, no one is there. The echoes feel alive, repeating, as if the bridge itself remembers each accident, each worker lost in machinery, and the river that claimed others. The energy of the past is palpable, pressing on those who dare cross after sunset. History has left its mark on Ironheart Bridge. Numerous accidents occurred during its peak operation, leaving behind stories of misfortune and tragedy. Some claim the bridge refuses to let these memories fade, replaying them in spectral form for anyone sensitive enough to witness. The structure seems to breathe with a rhythm of its own. Wind whistles through the girders and beneath the decks, combining with the distant clatter of phantom wheels to create a symphony of unease. Travelers speak of faint whispers, soft murmurs that rise above the wind, as if workers long past are calling out, warning, or perhaps reliving moments before accidents claimed them. At night, the bridge transforms into a corridor of tension and anticipation. Lanterns appear and vanish along the tracks. Shadows bend unnaturally. The vibrations of rolling cars echo underfoot. Even the bravest feel compelled to cross quickly, sensing unseen eyes tracking every step. The atmosphere is one of vigilance, where the past refuses to be ignored, and every movement on the bridge feels observed. Investigators and paranormal enthusiasts have attempted to document the phenomena. Recordings pick up faint metallic clangs and distant rumblings, often without explanation. Photographs sometimes capture subtle flickers of light in empty rail cars, or the indistinct forms of figures crouched near coal loads. While inconclusive, these pieces of evidence reinforce the stories told by locals and witnesses for generations. The bridge itself tells a story of labor, loss, and the persistence of memory. Steel beams, wooden ties, and lanterns act as conduits for the energy of those who spent their lives crossing it, working upon it, and occasionally dying on it. Every vibration, every flicker of light, every shadow seems tied to that past, creating a haunting that feels immediate and timeless. Even during the day, the bridge exudes a subtle unease. The rusted metal and weather would evoke the presence of countless workers, some visible only in imagination, others glimpsed in peripheral vision. Visitors sense a pattern to disturbances, a rhythm echoing the operation of trains that once carried coal and life across the river, never stopping entirely, even in death. Local accounts describe encounters that linger long after leaving Ironheart Bridge. The sound of wheels, the cold air, the flickering lanterns all seem to follow travelers. Haunting dreams of making ordinary roads feel weighted with memory. The bridge functions as a threshold, where the living brush against echoes of the past, and where the tragedies of labor and industry are preserved in spectral form. Ironheart Bridge is more than an abandoned structure. It is a monument to perseverance and peril, a place where the clatter of coal cars continues across time, and the lanterns of the past illuminate shadows of laborers long gone. Every visitor who crosses or approaches is drawn into a subtle tension between history and the present, experiencing a bridge that is alive with memory, shadows, and the quiet insistence of those who cannot move on. Even now, the steel beams hum faintly with the weight of unseen trains, and the lanterns flicker in empty cars. Ironheart Bridge reminds all who approach that places carry more than their physical presentia. They hold stories, echoes, and sometimes the souls of those who worked and perished there. The bridge endures, suspended over water and memory, a haunting testament to the past and a warning to the living. Phantom Track Overpass rises above the valley, a relic of iron and steel that has stood for decades. Its beams stretch across the darkened landscape, catching the faintest glimmers of moonlight and reflecting them like ghostly mirrors. Night travelers who pass beneath or near it often describe a strange sense of anticipation, as if the air itself is holding its breath, waiting. As darkness falls, some report the first signs of the phenomenon. A low hum resonates along the rails, almost imperceptible at first, growing in intensity until it fills the valley with vibration. Then, from the fog or darkness, the outline of a train appears. The air is charged with the sensation of movement, and every shadow along the bridge seems to deepen, watching the approaching spectacle. The phantom train is unlike any living engine. Its wheels do not clatter with mechanical precision, yet the sound of steel on rails echoes as though it were real. The lights along its carriages pulse in rhythm with a heartbeat that seems not human, and travelers describe a chilling cold that precedes its appearance, settling deep into bones. Those who see it feel simultaneously awe and dread, aware that the apparition is both beautiful and profoundly unnatural. Locals speak of the history behind the overpass. Years ago, a tragic accident occurred on the track below. A passenger train collided with a derailed freight train, leaving countless lives lost in an instant. Since that day, tales have circulated of spectral activity, with sightings of a ghostly train most frequent near the anniversary of the disaster. Witnesses claim the train carries the spirits of those lost, eternally retracing their final journey, bound to the tracks and the overpass above. As the phantom train approaches the midpoint of the bridge, its presence grows more intense. Shadows along the beams flicker in unnatural patterns, and the air vibrates with whispers and low murmurs that cannot be deciphered. Some who venture close report feeling a pressure at their backs, as though unseen hands are urging them to step aside, or perhaps warning them of danger. The train often vanishes suddenly just before reaching the bridge center, leaving silence and an emptiness that feels as heavy as the train itself. The overpass itself seems alive with memory. The fog that settles around the structure carries shapes and shadows that shift just beyond the eye's focus. Trees and terrain near the tracks distort in the low light, producing illusions that make the landscape feel fluid and uncertain. Every sound, every movement, contributes to a sense that this is a space where reality thins and the world of the living intersects with that of the lost. Some witnesses have described additional phenomena. Lights sometimes appear along the embankments, moving in patterns that resemble lanterns being carried by unseen passengers. The distant echo of train whistles, long extinguished in the real world, cuts through the night, carrying a mournful tone. Travelers who linger report chills that rise without wind, a sensation of being watched, and fleeting glimpses of figures at windows or along the rails that vanish the moment they are focused on. Despite its unsettling reputation, the Phantom Track overpass continues to draw those seeking the mysterious. Paranormal investigators, hikers, and even casual drivers find themselves compelled to witness the apparition. Cameras often fail to capture the full experience, with lights appearing blurred or shadows dissipating in ways that do not match human motion. Those who experience the event describe an overwhelming combination of fear, wonder, and reverence, as though standing in the presence of something larger than comprehension. The overpass, with its height and structure, amplifies every sensation. The sound of footsteps, distant or imagined, resonates through the beams. Fog clings to the iron like a living thing, shifting and curling as if to conceal or reveal at its discretion. Shadows stretch unnaturally, creating the impression of figures moving just beyond perception. Even the smallest disturbance, a branch brushing against a beam or a ripple along the water below, can feel magnified, adding to the sense that this is a place where the ordinary rules of reality no longer apply. Those who witness the phantom train speak of a lingering awareness long after leaving the site. The sound of wheels on rails, the glow of spectral lights, and the sensation of unseen presence often follow travelers for hours, sometimes days. The overpass stands as a monument to memory and loss, a threshold where the spirits of those who perish continue their journey along the tracks, caught between worlds. In every step across the surrounding landscape, in every flicker of light along the rails, the Phantom Track overpass tells its story. It is a place of reflection, mystery, and solemn beauty, where history, tragedy, and the unexplained converge. The apparition of the train reminds those who observe it that the past persists, that some journeys never end, and that in the stillness of night, even steel and fog can harbor souls who refuse to rest. The overpass endures, silent yet vibrant with memory. Lights glow, shadows shift, and the phantom train continues its endless crossing. Visitors depart with a sense of awe and unease, knowing they glimpse a realm where the living and the spectral meet. a bridge not just of iron and wood, but of stories, spirits, and the echoing passage of time. Hollow Creek Bridge stretches across a narrow, quietly flowing creek, its wooden planks weathered and worn by decades of rain and wind. The structure creaks softly in the breeze, a reminder of the many years it has stood in silence. By day, the bridge appears peaceful, blending into surrounding forest, but as dusk falls, the atmosphere shifts, and the air seems heavier, charged with stories that refuse to fade. Visitors report strange occurrences that defy explanation. A train whistle echoes across the creek, though no tracks exist nearby. The sound rises and falls, distant yet unervingly close, carrying a hollow resonance that makes the hair stand on the back of the neck. Occasionally, glowing lights are seen dancing along the bridge, small point of illumination that appear to move with purpose, then vanish without a trace. The bridge is abandoned, yet evidence suggests that something crosses it even in the dead of night. Footprints appear on the planks, freshly pressed into the wood, only to fade by morning as if erased by unseen hands. Locals whisper that the bridge is a threshold, a place where the past and the present meet, and where memories of long-gone travelers linger, replaying their journeys in subtle, unsettling ways. The creek below flows steadily, reflecting the dim light of the moon and casting shifting patterns across the weathered wood. Mist rises from the water on cool nights, curling around the bridge like ghostly fingers. It is easy to imagine figures moving just beyond the edge of vision, shadows that pause when observed and then vanish when attention is fully given. Stories passed down through generations speak of a train that once ran along a line that no longer exists. The line carried goods and passengers through the valley, connecting communities and lives, until a sudden calamity caused it to be abandoned. Some say the bridge itself was a site of accidents, moments frozen in time, echoing through the decades a form of unexplained phenomena. Visitors who linger at the bridge report a sense of presence, as if unseen watchers observe every movement. The wooden planks sometimes creak under weight that cannot be seen. A sudden chill may pass along the spine, accompanied by faint whispers that seem to rise from the creek itself. These subtle disturbances leave an impression long after the witness has departed, lingering like the memory of a half-remembered dream. The surrounding forest adds to the haunting atmosphere. Leaves rustle in the wind, creating whispers of sound that merge with distant cries and the occasional train whistle. The interplay of light and shadow here is constant, making it difficult to discern what is real and what belongs to the imagination. Many who explore Hollow Creek Bridge are drawn by the stories of ghosts and mysterious lights. Some seek evidence, carrying cameras and recording devices, hoping to capture the inexplicable. Others come for the thrill of the unknown, sensing that this place holds secrets not meant for casual observation. Regardless of intent, those who enter the area often leave with a profound sense of awe, tinged with unease, feeling that the bridge has acknowledged their presence. On particularly quiet nights, the bridge seems to breathe along with the forest. The wooden planks expand and contract, the creek whispers to the banks, and the fog drifts low across the surface. Lights that appear subtle, almost shy, and footsteps may echo where no one walks. These occurrences are fleeting, moments that vanish as quickly as they arrive, leaving behind a sense of mystery that clings to the mind. Despite its abandoned state, Hollow Creek Bridge remains a focal point for the uncanny. It is a place where natural beauty and eerie phenomena coexist, where the past leaves subtle fingerprints on the present, and where the ordinary transforms into the extraordinary after dark. The bridge is a reminder that some locations carry memories, and that those memories can manifest in ways that challenge understanding and perception. Those who visit often speak of a quiet reverence. The bridge commands attention without words, offering a story of time, loss, and lingering presence. Even in the stillness, it seems to whisper its history, hinting at lives once intertwined with the rails and the creek. Moments of joy and tragedy replaying invisibly for those willing to notice. As night deepens, Hollow Creek Bridge becomes a corridor between the world we know and the mysteries that lie just beyond sight. Shadows stretch and twist, Mist rises and falls, and unseen forces leave traces that suggest something more than the physical inhabits this place. The bridge, simple in structure yet complex in memory, continues to hold its secrets, inviting visitors to witness, if only for a moment, the presence of the past lingering in the present. Hollow Creek Bridge is more than a crossing over water. It is a monument to stories untold, to echoes that refuse to fade, and to the subtle, persistent touch of the inexplicable. Every creak of wood, every ripple in the creek, and every flicker of light adds to the feeling that this place is alive with memory, waiting patiently for those who dare to step onto its planks and listen to the whispers that have endured through time. Gravewater Viaduct stretches across a deep ravine, its iron and timber frame rising high above the mist that often blankets the valley below. Built in the 19th century, it was a marvel of engineering for its time, yet the viaduct quickly gained a reputation for danger. Accidents were frequent, workers fell during construction, and trains occasionally derailed, leaving a trail of tragedy that has echoed through generations. Even today, the viaduct carries an air of unease. Travelers who pass beneath or near it speak of a presence that lingers long after the trains have ceased to run. The structure seems to breathe with memory, each beam and girder holding stories of lives lost, whispers of hurried footsteps, and echoes of metal striking stone. On fog-laden nights, the mist rolls through the valley, curling around the pillars of the viaduct, as if nature itself conspires to cloak the horrors that once occurred here. Locals tell of spectral forms appearing along the tracks. Some are fleeting, glimpsed in the corner of the eye, vanishing when directly observed. Others are more distinct, appearing in period clothing, as though passengers from a bygone era continue to traverse the rails long after the trains themselves have stopped. The figures walk with purpose, sometimes pausing to look over the edge, their faces blurred and indistinct, yet full of a haunting presence that draws the gaze and refuses to let it go. Witnesses have reported seeing entire ghost trains crossing the viaduct at night. The lights flicker along the rails, illuminating the shapes of carriages, the outlines of passengers seated inside, and engineers standing rigidly at the helm. The sound is both mechanical and spectral, a low hum of wheels against rails combined with a faint, mournful whistle that seems to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. Travelers describe the sensation of standing nearby, feeling the vibration of the train beneath their feet, yet seeing no physical engine or carriages. The valley around the viaduct amplifies every sound. Leaves rustle along the embankments, falling in a rhythm that some say matches the cadence of a train in motion. Those brave enough to venture close at night often speak of cold drafts that wrap around them, the inexplicable feeling of being observed, and the eerie sensation of movement just beyond their vision. It is as though the viaduct itself remains alive, carrying echoes of the past through every iron beam and wooden plank. Accidents during the 19th century left a permanent imprint on the area. Names of workers and passengers are whispered in the wind by locals who claim to have heard their voices calling from the mist. These are not friendly whispers, but warnings fragmented lives abruptly ended, urging caution and respect. Hikers and explorers tell of sudden chills, the sensation of invisible hands brushing against them, and fleeting shadows darting along the tracks. Those who linger too long often feel compelled to leave, as though the spirits insist on keeping their stories contained within the viaduct itself. The viaduct is a striking contrast of beauty and dread. Its arches rise gracefully, framed by the Valia's natural contours. Yet the elegance is overshadowed by a profound sense of unease. On clear days, sunlight glints off the iron beams. But when fog or darkness descends, the viaduct transforms into a stage for the spectral, a place where the past refuses to remain buried. Photographers and paranormal enthusiasts often come seeking evidence of the viaduct's hauntings. Cameras capture blurred shapes and unexplained lights, while audio recordings sometimes pick up faint footsteps, metallic clanging, and whispers that are not audible to the naked ear. Some swear they have felt the pressure of a hand on their shoulder or the brush of a coat along their arm, only to find no one there. Each encounter reinforces a legend, weaving the supernatural into the very fabric of the viaduct. Legends say the spirits here are bound to the viaduct, repeating the actions of their final moments. Workers fall. Passengers linger in chairs. And engineers guide ghostly trains along the rails. The valley itself seems to enforce this pattern, the fog and shadows acting as agents to maintain the spectral theater. Visitors are advised to tread carefully, respecting both the physical dangers of the old structure and the invisible forces said to guard it. Gravewater Viaduct remains a bridge between the present and the past, a corridor where history and the supernatural intersect. Each night, as mist rolls through the valley, trains glide silently across the rails, and whispers drift through the air. The viaduct endures, a monument to human endeavor and tragedy, an enduring presence that reminds all who approach that some structures carry more than weight, they carry memory, loss, and the restless echoes of those who never truly left. Even in daylight, the viaduct commands attention. Shadows stretch along the beams and rails, moving in ways that defy explanation. Travelers who cross or linger can feel the weight of the past pressing down, the soft hum of history vibrating beneath their feet, and the persistent, unshakable sensation of being watched. Gravewater Viaduct is more than an engineering achievement. It is a living monument, haunted by the accidents, the lives, and the stories that gave it its reputation. For those who seek the bridge, each visit is a journey into history and legend. Every footstep across the wooden planks and iron rails is a step into a space where the boundary between the living and the departed blurs. The spectral forms, the ghost trains, and the whispered warnings all serve as reminders that Gravewater Viaduct endures as a place where the past is never truly gone, and where the echoes of tragedy continue to shape the present. Shadowfall Trestle rises high above the valley, its steel beams cutting through the thick fog that often blankets the gorge below. Constructed decades ago to carry freight and passenger trains across the region, the bridge now stands abandoned, a silent monument to an era long past. Its height and isolation give a foreboding presence, and locals warn against visiting after dark. By day, the trestle appears quiet, almost serene. Mist clings to the iron supports, and the distant river glimmers beneath the fog. Yet even in daylight, some visitors report a subtle unease, as if the bridge itself is alive with memory. The faint creak of metal in the wind, the soft echo of steps that are not your own, all contribute to the lingering tension that hangs over Shadowfall. As night descends, the atmosphere changes entirely. Witnesses describe figures leaping from the tracks, moving with unnatural speed. These forms are often described as human-like, yet distorted, appearing as echoes of those who may have perished on the trestle over the years. Ghost trains are a recurring phenomenon here. Observers hear the distant clatter of wheels striking steel, the rhythmic chug of an engine, and the faint whistle carried by the wind. The sound grows closer, enveloping the senses, and sometimes the apparition of a train materializes, spectral and empty, lanterns glowing faintly along the cars. The experience is both awe-inspiring and chilling, as the mind struggles to reconcile the sight with the knowledge that the trestle is no longer in use. Alongside the ghostly trains, other sounds haunt the bridge. Laughter echoes through the fog, sudden and sharp, followed by distant screams that fade as quickly as they arrive. Some report hearing chains rattling, dragging across the rails, accompanied by the sensation of a presence brushing past their shoulders. The trestle seems to remember every accident, every misstep, and every life lost along its span. Visitors describe sudden drops in temperature as they cross the trestle at night. The air becomes thick and heavy, condensing into mist that clings to skin and clothing. A chill settles deep into the bones, a physical reminder of the energy that lingers here. Some claim to see figures crouched along the sides of the bridge, kneeling or watching silently as if performing rituals invisible to the living eye. The structure itself seems to amplify these experiences. Steel and will hold echoes of the past, resonating with the energy of those who once traversed the trestle. Shadows stretch unnaturally across the beams, lights appear and vanish without explanation, and the sound of movement often comes from where none is possible. Those who have dared stay overnight recount encounters that defy explanation. Some hear footsteps pacing along the rails, circling them or approaching from behind. Others see figures standing at the edge of the bridge, staring silently into the fog, only to disappear when confronted. The combination of sounds, shadows, and movement creates a layered experience, a convergence of the past and present that is difficult to shake. Histories of Shadowfall Trestle tell of accidents, derailments, and near misses. Trains derailed during storms, workers fell from the rails, and travelers lost their lives along the bridge. It is said that the trestle holds a memory of these events, replaying them in subtle ways for anyone sensitive enough to perceive them. Spectral figures often appear reenacting moments of panic, walking the rails as they did before tragedy struck. Even in the absence of ghostly trains or figures, the trestle retains a palpable tension. Visitors feel watched, hear faint whispers, and sense movement in the fog where no life should exist. The bridge serves as a conduit between the living and the dead, a place where history is preserved not in books or photographs, but in the air, the steel, and the echoes that linger. Shadowfall Trestle is more than a forgotten bridge. It is a liminal space where time blurs, and the past refuses to remain buried. The figures that appear, the trains that rumble through the fog, and the sounds that drift along the rails, all remind observers that some places retain the weight of memory, the energy of lives once lived, and the lingering presence of those lost to history. For anyone who ventures here, the experience is unforgettable. The wind carries whispers from beyond, and shadows flit across the rails, testing perception and courage. A haunting reminder that some paths cannot be crossed without leaving a part of oneself behind. Night after night, Shadowfall Trestle continues its silent vigil, holding the stories of those who fell, those who disappeared, and those who remained tethered to its rails. Ghost trains roll endlessly, shadowy figures roam freely, and the fog carries their whispers across the gorge. The bridge endures, a place where memory, fear, and history converge, leaving an indelible mark on anyone who dares to witness its haunting presence. Those who leave often speak of an unshakable feeling, a lingering connection to the past. The experience of Shadowfall Trestle is more than fear. It is a journey into the echoes of history, a chance to witness a world suspended between the living and the dead. The trestle waits, shrouded in fog, ready to reveal its secrets to those brave enough to approach. Bloodstone Bridge stretches across a deep ravine, its iron beams darkened by time and the stains of countless storms. By night, it transforms into a place whispered about by locals, a site where history and the unexplained converge in ways that unsettle even the most skeptical traveler. The bridge earned its ominous name long ago. Multiple fatal collisions occurred along its rails, some blamed on human error, others on mechanical failure. Legends tell trains that vanished mid-crossing, reappearing hours later with cargo intact, but no crew aboard. The accidents left a mark, not only on maps and records, but on the landscape itself. The surrounding hills seem to lean closer at night, and the air feels charged with tension, as though the bridge itself remembers every life claimed by iron and steel. Railroad workers who once maintained the tracks are said to vanish without explanation. Some disappear during routine inspections, their footsteps fading into the fog. Others are reported missing after night shifts, leaving only personal belongings behind. The stories persist, handed down through generations, adding layers of unease to a place already steeped in misfortune. As dusk falls, visitors report unusual phenomena. Red-tinged lights glide along the rails, flickering and pulsating as if guided by an unseen hand. They move with no engine to power them, drifting silently across the bridge, illuminating the metal beams in a ghostly glow. Occasionally, the sound of a train whistle pierces the night air, echoing across the hills in a tone that is both mournful and warning. No train is ever seen accompanying these sounds, yet the feeling of presence is undeniable. Those who have lingered on the bridge speak of shadows moving at the edges of vision. Figures appear briefly, often standing on the tracks, their forms blurred and indistinct. Some seem to be waiting, watching, or perhaps trying to retrace steps long lost to history. When approached, They vanish, leaving only the faintest impression of movement and the lingering weight of something unseen. The surrounding environment amplifies the unease. The wind whistles through the beams and cables, creating sounds that resemble hurried footsteps or distant voices. Trees along the hillside sway in patterns that seem unnatural, casting shadows across the rails that twist and flicker like living tendrils. Even the river below seems to move with a strange rhythm, its surface catching reflections of lights that do not belong to the world of the living. Locals tell stories of encounters that defy explanation. Some have claimed to see ghostly trains pass silently beneath the bridge, carrying passengers in period attire. Their faces are indistinct, yet expressions of fear and sorrow are apparent. Others describe hearing conversations, the murmur of people long gone, carried on the wind in words that make no sense, but fill the listener with an inexplicable dread. The bridge itself seems to hold a memory of these events. Every beam, every rail tie, every weathered boat resonates with history. Travelers often feel a presence pressing close as they cross, a sensation that cannot be measured or rationalized. The stories say that the spirits of those lost on Bloodstone Bridge continue to linger, bound to the site by tragedy, accident, and perhaps unfinished business. At night, the interplay of fog, shadow, and red-tinged lights creates a cinematic scene of haunting beauty. The bridge appears alive, a conduit between the world of the living and the echoes of the past. Even those who arrive expecting nothing unusual often find themselves unsettled, sensing movement where none exists, or catching a glimpse of something at the corner of the eye before it disappears into the mist. Visitors who walk the rails are advised caution. The bridge, while structurally sound, feels unpredictable underfoot. The stories of vanished workers, ghostly lights, and phantom trains contribute to a heightened awareness of every sound and movement. Each night, the bridge seems to replay fragments of history, as if urging witnesses to acknowledge what transpired, yet warning them that some knowledge comes at the cost of unease. Bloodstone Bridge endures as more than a structure of iron and wood. It is a repository of stories of loss and of unexplained phenomena that continue to capture the imagination of all who visit. Its red-tinged lights, ghostly whistles, and shadowed figures are reminders that the past is never truly gone. The bridge stands as a testament to memory, mystery, and the thin line between the living and the spirits who refuse to leave. Even as dawn breaks, traces of the night remain. The rails glint in the morning sun, hinting at the lights that move along them hours earlier. And for those who walk the bridge in darkness, the feeling of being watched, of history pressing close, lingers long after they step away. Bloodstone Bridge remains silent and imposing by day, haunted and alive by night, a place where stories, spirits, and the past converge endlessly. Silent Hollow Crossing stretches across a narrow valley, appearing serene in the glow of daylight. Its wooden beams and iron rails blend seamlessly into the surrounding forest, giving no hint of the strange occurrences that unfold once the sun dips below the horizon. As night falls, the atmosphere changes. The air grows thick and heavy, and the familiar sounds of nature are joined by something far more unsettling. Distant shouts echo across the valley, carried on a breeze that seems to emerge from nowhere. The sound of wheels on rails can be heard, soft at first, then growing louder, though no train has run here for decades. The echoes carry a hollow resonance, filling the night with a sense of anticipation and unease. Travelers report seeing ghostly lanterns flicker along the rails, suspended in the darkness. They appear to float above the wooden planks, moving steadily from one end of the bridge to the other, illuminating the structure in an otherworldly glow. Some witnesses claim the lanterns cast light on figures dressed in clothing from a bygone era, their movements deliberate yet distant and intangible. There are accounts of full passenger cars appearing to glide across the bridge, spectral in nature, their outlines faint and shimmering. Inside, shadows seem to move in rhythm with the creaking of unseen wheels. These visions vanish when approached, leaving only the memory of the sound and the cold, eerie sensation that someone or something had been present. The creek below reflects the moonlight, its surface disturbed by occasional ripples that seem to rise without cause. Mist rises from the water at night, curling around the bridge and giving the impression of movement even when the air is still. The combination of fog, shadows, and faint illumination creates a scene that is both beautiful and haunting, a place where the boundaries between the natural and the supernatural feel fragile. Locals tell stories passed down through generations. They speak of trains that once traveled the line, carrying passengers and cargo to faraway towns. Accidents and mishaps left memories embedded in the bridge, imprinted in a way that no passage of time could erase. It is said that the bridge carries echoes of the past, replaying moments of joy, fear, and tragedy for those who venture near after dark. Visitors often report a tangible sense of presence as they cross the bridge. A sudden chill may descend, and the wooden planks sometimes creak under weight that no one sees. The shouts and the whispers blend with the natural sounds of the forest, creating a disorienting symphony that makes it difficult to distinguish reality from illusion. Many leave with a sense of having witnessed something that cannot be explained, yet remains undeniable. The surrounding forest adds to the haunting atmosphere. Leaves rustle, merging with the sound of the phantom train, and the occasional flicker of light adds depth to the shadowed scene. Every element of the environment seems to participate in the spectacle, as if the bridge itself draws energy from the night. Those who linger too long speak of fleeting touches, sensations of movement just beyond perception, and the occasional smell of smoke or coal reminiscent of a train long gone. Photographs and recordings often show anomalies, faint lights, or blurred shapes that defy logical explanation. The bridge seems to acknowledge the presence of witnesses, offering glimpses of the unseen world that lie just out of reach. Despite its haunting reputation, Silent Hollow Crossing continues to draw curiosity. Some come seeking proof of the supernatural, carrying cameras and recording devices. Others come for the thrill, to feel the shiver of uncertainty as they walk across the planks, immersed in the weight of history and memory. Each visitor leaves with their own story, adding to the collective sense that this is a place where time folds, where the past persists alongside the present. On quiet nights, the bridge seems to breathe with the forest. The creak of wood, the whisper of leaves, and the distant sounds of phantom wheels combine to create an atmosphere thick with anticipation. Shadows stretch and twist across the planks. The fog rises and falls, and lanterns flicker in patterns that appear deliberate, as if guiding the living to observe the past in motion. Silent Hollow Crossing is more than a structure over a valley. It is a living record of time, accidents, and the persistence of memory. The ghostly trains, the lanterns, and the whispers are reminders that some places hold more than the physical, that the echoes of human experience can endure long after the events themselves have passed. The bridge is a threshold, inviting those who dare to witness the interplay between history and the unexplained, leaving them with a lingering sense of awe and mystery. As the night deepens, the bridge transforms into a corridor between worlds. Figures, sounds, and lights appear, interact, and vanish, leaving impressions rather than answers. Moment of tragedy and routine replayed invisibly for anyone willing to notice. The enduring presence of the past, quietly reminding all who visit that some places are never truly empty. Ironvale Bridge rises high above the dark river below, its steel frame gleaming faintly under the moonlight. By day, however, it appears as a striking feat of engineering, a testament to human ingenuity and strength. By night, however, the bridge transforms. Shadows cling to its beams, the wind whistles through its cables, and an unsettling energy seems to vibrate through the metal. Locals have long spoken of strange occurrences here. Many describe the sensation of ghostly presences brushing past them while crossing the bridge. The air grows inexplicably cold, and the silence is broken only by the faint, rhythmic clanging of unseen wheels. Some say the vibrations are not caused by the structure itself, but by phantom trains that pass through in the dead of night, invisible yet undeniably present. The bridge carries more than steel and tension, it carries history. Stories of accidents, unexplained disappearances, and unusual phenomena have been told for generations. Those who linger after dusk often describe a palpable heaviness, as though the bridge itself is aware of their presence. The vibrations underfoot are subtle at first, almost imperceptible, but they grow stronger with every step, echoing along the rails and through the surrounding valley. Sightings are reported regularly. Shadows move along the tracks in ways that defy logic. Some appear as human figures, frozen mid-step, staring into the distance. Others take the shape of trains, glowing faintly with spectral light, their motion silent except for the subtle thrum of metal against metal. Those who witness these apparitions often feel an invisible presence standing close behind them, a fleeting brush of air or the soft pressure of a hand that vanishes when they turn to look. The steel itself seems to hum with energy. Wind passing through the bridge can mimic the sound of train whistles or the distant echoes of footsteps on the tracks. Even when the night is calm, a low vibration can be felt underfoot, and some describe a resonance that reverberates through the chest. It is as if the bridge amplifies memories of the past, echoing the presence of those who have crossed it before, whether in life or in spirit. Visitors often feel a disorienting sense of time while on the bridge at night. Minutes stretch into hours, and familiar sounds seem distorted. Shadows flit across the rails, vanishing as quickly as they appear, leaving an unnerving emptiness in their wake. The feeling of being watched is persistent, and many recount a sudden urge to move quickly, as though the bridge itself is urging them along, protecting its secrets while warning intruders to leave. Some legends suggest that the phantom trains are linked to the bridge's earliest years. Workers and travelers who perished during construction or accidents are said to linger, replaying the moments of their final journeys. The vibrations felt by modern visitors are thought to be echoes of these events, transmitted through the steel, carrying the weight of lives cut short. Each vibration, each whisper of wind, tells a story of tragedy and persistence, creating a tapestry of haunting that clings to the bridge. Each vibration, each whisper of wind, tells a story of tragedy and persistence, creating a tapestry of haunting that clings to the bridge. Photographers and paranormal enthusiasts often come in search of proof. Cameras sometimes capture faint shapes, glowing outlines, or blurs of movement that cannot be explained. Audio devices pick up soft clanging, footsteps, and unidentifiable murmurs. Visitors report sudden chills, hair standing on end, and a sense of unease that grows with every step. Even those skeptical of the supernatural cannot deny the intensity of the atmosphere, the way the bridge seems to come alive after dark. The surrounding landscape adds to the feeling of isolation and mystery. The river below reflects nothing but shadows. Trees along the banks appear to bend toward the bridge, as if drawn to the unseen activity. Fog often rises from the water, weaving around the supports and obscuring the distant ends of the structure. In this light, the bridge appears both monumental and otherworldly, a place where the natural and the supernatural intersect in subtle, unsettling ways. For those brave enough to remain, Iron Veil Bridge offers a profound encounter with the unknown. The vibrations, the shadows, and the ghostly trains create a haunting rhythm that is impossible to ignore. Time and memory blend, and the line between reality and apparition becomes uncertain. Each crossing is a journey through history, through tragedy, and through a lingering presence that refuses to be forgotten. By the time dawn approaches, the bridge returns to its daytime state, a gleaming monument of steel and strength. Locals continue to speak of ghostly figures, phantom trains, and the eerie vibrations that appear only at night. Iron Veil Bridge remains a bridge in every sense, a passage over the river, a connection to the past, and a portal to the unexplained mysteries that cling to it, waiting patiently for the next traveler to cross its haunted span. Even in the safety of daylight, the memory of the night lingers. Those who felt the ghostly presence, the hum of invisible trains, or the touch of unseen hands speak of it with reverence and caution. Iron Veil Bridge endures not only as a feat of engineering, but as a keeper of stories, a silent witness to history, and a reminder that some structures hold more than just physical weight. They carry the echoes of the past, the brush of spirits, and the quiet hum of the unknown. Mist-veiled trestle rises high above the valley, shrouded in thick fog that twists and coils around the steel beams. As evening falls, the atmosphere transforms entirely. Visitors report shadowy figures pacing along the rails, moving with deliberate rhythm as though retracing steps from long ago. These forms are fleeting, appearing at the edge of perception, only to vanish when approached. The fog clings to the body and clothing, muffling sound and bending light, making every step across the trestle feel uncertain. Ghostly lights often appear along the ties, flickering in rhythm as if a train is approaching from beyond the veiled reality. Some describe a faint vibration underfoot, a steady rumble that grows louder, and then fades, leaving no train, no engine, and no explanation. The experience is unnerving, as if the trestle itself remembers the trains that once carried cargo and passengers, replaying them for anyone sensitive enough to notice. The history of Mist Vale Trestle is woven with accidents and misfortune. Workers and travelers lost their lives here, often swept away by the fog or falling from the rails during storms. Locals claim that the bridge retains a memory of these events, replaying them subtly for those who wander across it. Shadows and lights mimic the motions of trains and people, creating the unsettling illusion that the past is walking alongside the present. Visitors recount sudden drops in temperature, an icy chill that penetrates the skin even in summer. Some feel invisible hands grip their arms, a sensation of pressure and weight as if the trestle itself reaches out to remind the living that they are not alone. The fog amplifies these experiences, carrying whispers, distant laughter, and the faint clatter of chains along the beams. Every sound is magnified, every shadow stretched and distorted, making the trestle a stage for memories that will not remain buried. Spectral forms appear in various ways. Some crouch along the edges of the bridge, staring silently into the mist below, while others move quickly along the rails, their feet never quite touching the wood. Lantern lights flicker in patterns that suggest human presence, though no living soul is ever found. These apparitions are not always threatening, yet the sensation of being watched is constant, creating a tension that is both physical and psychological. Those who have lingered overnight speak of encounters that defy explanation. Sounds come from directions that make no sense. Shadows move independently of any light source. The fog seems to take on shapes that are unmistakably human. A sudden gust of wind might carry a whisper or a cry, leaving the listener disoriented and uncertain of what is real. The trestle itself is a conduit for memory and presence. Steel beams and wooden ties resonate with echoes of the past, capturing energy from each accident, each step, and each passing train. The height and isolation of Mist Vale Trestle contribute to the intensity of these experiences, as the valley below amplifies sound and fog clings to every surface, enhancing perception and altering reality. Even without apparitions, the trestle evokes unease. The fog thickens in the corners of vision. Shadows seem to shift when unobserved, and the sound of wind across the beams takes on the cadence of footsteps. The bridge is a place where perception and memory converge, where the living cannot ignore the weight of history, and where each step is both literal and symbolic as one moves across time itself. Mist Vale Trestle is more than an abandoned structure. It is a threshold between the present and the past, a place where history continues to replay itself in whispers, shadows, and flickering lights. Each visitor carries away an impression that is impossible to describe fully, a lingering connection to the energy of the bridge, and the echoes of those who remain tethered to its rails. Night after night, the trestle continues its vigil. Shadowy figures move across the rails, ghostly lights flicker, and the fog holds memories in its folds. Some who linger too long never forget the icy touch of unseen hands or the sense of being watched from just beyond sight. Mist Vale Trestle endures, a silent observer of time, tragedy, and the boundary between the living and the dead. For anyone who ventures here, the experience is unforgettable. The fog, shadows, lights, and whispers create a world suspended between reality and memory. The trestle waits patiently, shrouded in mist, ready to reveal its secrets to those daring enough to cross. and leaving behind a story that lingers long after the last step is taken. Ravenwood Viaduct stretches across a shadowed gorge, its steel beams dark against the night sky. By day, it appears as a remarkable feat of engineering, a bridge connecting two hillsides with precision and strength. By night, however, it takes on a different character, one that has drawn whispers and stories from locals and travelers alike. Spectral figures are said to appear along its length, silent and still, like sentinels watching over a world only they can see. The viaduct has a history marked by caution and tragedy. Accidents occurred during its construction, with workers falling or vanishing along the steep embankments. Even after it opened, unusual incidents continued, including unexplained noises echoing across the gorge, and the sudden appearance of figures standing on the bridge in the darkness. Over time, these events became the foundation of local legend, a cautionary tale of the bridge, and the spirits said to haunt it. At night, visitors report a profound shift in atmosphere as they approach. The air grows colder, carrying a damp chill that seems to seep into clothing and bone. A thick mist often rises from the gorge below, rolling along the beams and weaving around the supports. Within the fog, shadowy forms materialize, standing still as if frozen in time. Some vanish when approached, leaving only the lingering scent of wet earth and the echo of their presence. The bridge itself seems to respond to those who traverse it. Footsteps sound heavier than they should, creaking and groaning in patterns that do not match the Traveller S-pace. Wind whistles through the iron supports in tones that mimic whispers, and every movement in the mist appears amplified, giving the impression of being watched from all angles. It is a place where the ordinary rules of perception shift, and where the veil between past and present feels impossibly thin. Stories of encounters vary. Some witnesses describe figures resembling workers from a bygone era, their features obscured, clothing tattered and wet from the mist. Others speak of elegant forms, upright and statuesque, as though guarding the bridge. All share a sense of unease, a realization that these figures are not part of the living world. They seem drawn to the viaduct itself, appearing and disappearing with no discernible pattern, always leaving a trace of cold air in their absence. Ravenwood Viaduct's environment contributes to its eerie reputation. The gorge beneath is shadowed even in the brightest daylight, a deep chasm where sounds echo strangely, and the river below moves with a restless rhythm. Trees along the hillsides bend in unnatural ways, and the mist rising from the river coils around the bridge like living tendrils. Even small animals avoid the area at night, leaving the bridge seemingly empty except for its spectral watchers. Some locals speak of hearing whispers carried on the wind. Travelers report hearing footsteps behind them on the wooden planks, though when they turn, the bridge remains empty. It is as if the viaduct itself hosts echoes of the past, replaying fragments of lives that ended too soon or were forever altered by the structure spanning the gorge. Occasionally, spectral lights appear along the bridge. Some take the form of lanterns swinging gently in the fog, while others glow faintly like willow, the wisps drifting across the steel framework. These lights are often accompanied by the sensation of being observed, a presence pressing close yet intangible, as though the spirits are aware of those who cross their domain. Despite the unsettling tales, the viaduct continues to draw visitors. Some come seeking evidence, carrying cameras and recording devices, while others arrive simply out of curiosity or desire to feel the legends firsthand. Many leave unsettled, reporting feelings of dread or chills that linger long after departing. Others claim to have glimpsed figures in the mist, only for them to vanish moments later, leaving nothing but an empty expanse of steel and fog. The bridge's history, combined with these ongoing accounts, has created an atmosphere of respectful caution. Those who walk the viaduct at night often move slowly, attuned to the sound of the structure, the whispers in the wind, and the shifting mist around them. Each step is measured, every glance toward the shadows taken with care. Ravenwood Viaduct is more than a bridge. It is a threshold, a place where the living and the spectral intersect, and where the past continues to leave its imprint on the present. Even in daylight, the viaduct carries the memory of a night. Shadows linger longer than they should, the mist rising from the gorge in gentle swirls. And the iron beams retain the echo of countless footsteps. Those who know the story sense the presence of unseen watchers. The memory of spectral figures. An enduring mystery that surrounds a bridge. A place where every crossing is an encounter with something beyond understanding. Ravenwood Viaduct remains a testament to history, legend, and the invisible line that separates the known from the unknown. A place where every crossing is an encounter with something beyond understanding. Hollowstone Bridge stretches across a narrow ravine, its timbers aged and worn, whether by decades of wind, rain, and the slow passage of time. By day, it appears quiet, an unassuming relic blending into the surrounding landscape. The wooden planks creak gently underfoot, and the rails, though rusted, hint at a history of long-forgotten journeys. The air is heavy with the scent of damp earth and moss, and the surrounding forest seems to lean closer, as if observing the Bridgia's every movement. The surrounding forest seems to lean closer, as if observing the Bridgia's every movement. As night falls, Hollowstone Bridge transforms. The ordinary sounds of the forest fade, replaced by something uncanny. Faint echoes emerge from the darkness, the subtle creak of wheels on rails, distant shouts, and a rhythmic clatter that grows steadily louder. Locals speak of these sounds with caution, aware that they signal the arrival of something otherworldly. Travelers who venture across the bridge after dusk often report an unsettling sensation, as if unseen eyes follow every step. Shadows lengthen and shift across the planks, bending unnaturally, and the night air carries a chill that seems to seep into the bones. The once solid bridge feels alive, pulsing with energy from the past, and a sense of anticipation hangs thick in the foggy air. It is then that the ghost trains appear. Spectral and precise, they glide across the bridge at certain times each night. The locomotives shimmer in the moonlight, partially transparent yet impossibly solid, and their wheels roll smoothly along rails that have long been abandoned. Observers often freeze in awe, unable to look away as the cars pass silently, yet with a presence that is undeniable. Inside the passenger cars, figures sit or stand in solemn repose. They are dressed in clothing from a century ago, suits, dresses, and hats perfectly preserved. Some wave quietly, their hands moving in slow, deliberate gestures, as though acknowledging the living. Their faces are calm, sometimes curious, sometimes sorrowful, but always distant, as if caught between worlds. The lanterns inside the train cast a warm, golden glow, illuminating the bridge in fleeting bursts of light. This glow reveals details of the bridge otherwise hidden in darkness, the grain of the wooden planks, the twisting vines that have crept along the rails, and the mist rising from the ravine below. The interplay of light and shadow gives the scene an ethereal quality, as if the bridge exists both in reality and in memory simultaneously. Many visitors speak of sensations beyond sight. A sudden chill may envelop them, hairs rise on their arms, and the faint smell of coal and smoke drifts through the night air. Footsteps echo where no one walks, and the soft hum of mechanical motion can be heard long after the train has vanished. Those who linger too long report a strange sense of time bending, the minutes stretching as if the past and present overlap in that single space. Hollowstone Bridge has a history that seems to feed the phenomena. Once a bustling line of travel, it witnessed countless journeys, moments of joy and sorrow, arrivals and departures. Accidents occurred, some minor, others tragic, and it is believed that the energy of these events lingers in the structure, animating it with echoes of what once was. Every night, the bridge replays fragments of its history, offering glimpses of lives long gone yet never forgotten. The surrounding forest enhances the mystery. Trees arch overhead, their branches swaying in the night wind, creating patterns that appear almost deliberate. Mist rolls in from the ravine, curling around the rails and planks, hiding and revealing sections of the bridge in turn. The fog softens the world, making the train appear as if it emerges from a dream, solidifying for only a brief moment before dissolving into the night. Witnesses describe a mix of awe and fear. Some attempt to photograph the ghost trains, only to capture faint blurs or unexplained lights. Others simply watch, feeling a connection to the past and a sense of respect for the spirits that traverse the bridge nightly. A sense of respect for the spirits that traverse the bridge nightly. It is an experience that remains etched in memory, a reminder of the thin veil that separates the living from echoes of the past. A reminder of the thin veil that separates the living from echoes of the past. As the spectral train passes and fades, Hollow Stone Bridge returns to silence. The shadows recede, the wind stirs the leaves, and the chill slowly dissipates. Yet the air remains charged, holding traces of the passage. And those who witness it leave with a heightened awareness of the Bridge's history and its ongoing presence. Hollow Stone Bridge is more than a structure. It is a threshold between eras, a place where memory lingers in tangible form. Every plank, every rail, and every spectral figure contributes to a story that continues to unfold. Night after night, the bridge invites the curious and the brave to witness the delicate interplay between history, memory, and the unexplained, leaving an impression that lingers long after the night has ended. To walk across Hollow Stone Bridge at night is to step into a living memory, a place where the past converges with the present, where the ordinary becomes extraordinary in the quiet glow of history and mystery intertwined. Dark-water trestle rises high above the river, its wooden beams weathered by decades of wind, rain, and time. By day, it appears as a quiet relic, a testament to an era when trains carried goods and passengers across the landscape. By night, the trestle takes on a far more ominous character. Visitors who dare to cross the trestle after dusk often describe an unsettling stillness. The air is thick with the scent of damp wood and the river below. Yet there is an underlying vibration, subtle but undeniable, as if the structure itself remembers every footstep, every train that ever passed over it. Some say the wooden supports hum softly, carrying the memory of the past, and the faint echo of wheels against rails can be heard long after the trains have vanished. Shadowy forms are a common sight here. They move along the trestle with a fluidity that seems almost unnatural. Some appear human, frozen mid-step, or pacing deliberately along the old tracks. Others are less defined, slipping between the beams like smoke or mist, disappearing when approached. Those who encounter these figures speak of an eerie calm that accompanies them, a quiet insistence that the trestle belongs to forces beyond the living. The history of the trestle adds to its chilling atmosphere. Built during a time of industrial expansion, the wooden structure witnessed accidents, laborers who fell, and trains that derailed. Locals say that the spirits of those lost remain, trapped by unfinished journeys and the echoes of their final moments. Each plank, each support beam, carries a weight beyond its physical mass. The trestle seems to breathe with collective memory of those who crossed it, living and spectral alike. The sound that visitors report are particularly unsettling. The creaking of wood is expected, yet sometimes it takes on the rhythm of wheels rolling along tracks. The distant hiss of brakes, the clang of metal in the low, rumbling vibration of a train moving through darkness are reported even when the trestle is deserted. Footsteps follow those who walk the path, often stopping when the observer pauses, only to continue once movement resumes. Nightfall brings the most intense experiences. Fog rolls in from the river, curling around the beams and obscuring the far ends of the trestle. Shadows lengthen and merge with the mist, creating the impression of movement where there is none. Visitors speak of sudden chills, the feeling of unseen eyes upon them, and whispers that rise with the wind, too faint to understand but impossible to ignore. Every step taken along the trestle becomes a dance with the past, a negotiation between curiosity and instinct. Some who linger near the trestle report being followed by phantom figures onto the riverbank. Shapes appear on the wooden structure as they watch from below, only to vanish when approached. The sensation of being drawn in, of invisible hands guiding or warning, is commonly described. Locals warn that the trestle is not a place for idle exploration, that it tests the courage of those who cross and leaves its mark on the memory long after departure. Photographers and paranormal enthusiasts have documented unusual phenomena here. Cameras sometimes capture vague shapes, glowing outlines, or streaks of light that defy natural explanation. Audio devices record the echoes of trains and voices, fragments of conversation, and the subtle groan of timber that seems too rhythmic to be random. Skeptics may dismiss these experiences, yet even the most rational admit to a sense of unease that persists. A reminder that Darkwater Trestle holds mysteries beyond the tangible world. The surrounding landscape amplifies the trestle's haunting presence. Dense trees line the riverbanks, their branches swaying in the wind, casting twisted shadows across the water and the bridge. The river reflects nothing but blackness, swallowing light and sound. In this environment, the trestle stands as a threshold between the living and the spectral, a place where history, memory, and mystery converge. Crossing Darkwater Trestle is more than a physical act. It is an encounter with the lingering past. Each shadow tells a story of human endeavor, of tragedy, and of forces that continue to dwell in the space between the known and the unknown. Those who leave the trestle speak of an atmosphere that cannot be captured by words alone, a sense of reverence and fear that lingers long after the planks are behind them. By dawn, the trestle returns to its daylight state, silent and still, its shadows receding and its vibrations subdued. Locals continue to speak of ghostly figures, the echoes of long-departed trains, and the subtle presence that watches over the structure. Darkwater Trestle remains a bridge in every sense, a crossing over water, a connection to the past, and a passage into the unknown, where the living brush against the memories of those who never left, and the river below keeps its secrets with a patient, unwavering vigilance. For anyone who ventures here, the trestle is more than a relic of the past. It is a living monument of memory and mystery, a place where the ordinary world meets the supernatural. Every footstep along its worn planks is a journey through history, and every shadow, whisper, and vibration is a reminder that some places are never truly abandoned. Darkwater Trestle waits quietly, its secrets preserved, inviting the curious to witness, but never to disturb, the lingering presence of the unseen. Night Whistle Crossing spans a deep ravine, its steel frame stretching into darkness where the river winds silently below. By day, the bridge appears ordinary, a relic of an earlier era of trains and commerce. Yet, by night it transforms. A haunting presence lingers, carried on the wind, and those who venture close often feel it before they see anything at all. The first sign of the phantom is often the whistle. A distant sound, high-pitched and mournful, drifts across a valley. Locals describe the whistle as something impossible to place, a sound that has no source yet feels intimately connected to the structure itself. Those who hear it report a sudden chill, a subtle vibration beneath their feet, and a sense that the air itself is watching. Those who hear it report a sudden chill, a subtle vibration beneath their feet, and a sense that the air itself is watching. Glowing lights appear along the far end of the bridge, flickering as though a train waits to cross. The illumination is faint, almost ethereal, yet unmistakable against the darkness. The lights move slowly, as if a locomotive is inching forward, but when one approaches, there is nothing. The ground trembles lightly, resonating like rails under the weight of unseen wheels, leaving a palpable impression of movement without form. Witnesses describe shadows stretching across the bridge, elongated by moonlight or the phantom glow. Figures appear for a moment, standing as if frozen in time, then vanish as if they were never there. The combination of sound, light, and subtle motion creates a sense of presence, a feeling that the past is replaying itself over and over, trapped within the structure of the bridge. The history of Night Whistle Crossing is etched in tragedy and labor. Centuries ago, trains carried passengers and cargo over the ravine, but accidents were frequent. Collapses and derailments left injuries and deaths that have long since faded from record. Yet, some say the bridge remembers. Energy and memory linger here, manifesting in the whistle, the tremors, and the spectral lights. Travelers who linger describe the air as heavy, almost tangible. The fog often drifts along the bridge at night, thickening near the river. Sound bends strangely in the mist, carrying the faintest echoes of footsteps, metallic clatter, and whispers. The echoes of footsteps, metallic clatter, and whispers vanish when one turns toward them. The bridge is a place where perception is heightened, where every creak and gust of wind is magnified into something more sinister, more alive. Some will cross the bridge speak of fleeting glimpses of passengers waiting in phantom cars. They are dressed in clothing from a bygone era, frozen in motion yet unmistakably human. Occasionally, lanterns flicker in the windows of the spectral train, casting light across the tracks and illuminating the fog in shifting patterns. The train does not move visibly, yet those who witness it feel the weight of its passing, as though reality itself is bent to allow a memory to replay. The phantom whistle often comes without warning. Travelers report a pressure in the chest, a sudden urge to turn toward the source, only to find empty rails and glowing mist. The bridge seems to breathe, alive with the memories of countless journeys and lost souls. Even the air itself carries a hum of anticipation, a tension that grips all who remain too long. Night Whistle Crossing is a place of both beauty and dread. The mist coils around the rails, concealing shapes that might be real or imagined. Sound of the past echo in harmony with the present, creating a liminal space where time is fluid, and the boundary between living and spectral is blurred. Locals warn visitors to respect the bridge and its history. Those who linger, who attempt to chase the lights or follow the sound of the whistle, often return with stories that defy explanation. Some claim the sensation of being followed persists long after leaving. Footsteps echoing behind them in empty streets, whispers calling their names, and the memory of unseen eyes watching their every move. The bridge endures as a silent sentinel over the ravine, carrying the weight of history and memory. Its whistle, spectral lights, and tremors are reminders of what once passed over its rails, and what remains unseen but present. Travelers who cross it at night feel the convergence of time, past and present merging in a haunting performance that repeats endlessly. Night Whistle Crossing waits for those who venture near. The fog, the lights, and the whistle combine to create an atmosphere that is as mesmerizing as it is unsettling. Every step across the bridge is a journey through history, memory, and the unknown. For those who listen carefully, the whistle is more than a sound. It is a call, a warning, and an invitation to witness the presence of what cannot be seen, leaving behind a story that lingers long after the night has passed. Forgotten Rails Overpass stands as a crumbling relic of a bygone era, its rusted beams and weathered ties a testament to time and neglect. By day, it is a quiet structure, barely noticed as travelers pass beneath or along its edges. By night, however, it transforms into a place shrouded in mist and mystery, where the whispers of the past seem to echo with unusual clarity. The whispers of the past seem to echo with unusual clarity. The overpass once carried daily trains across the valley, connecting towns and transporting goods. Over the decades, accidents and unexplained incidents began to occur. Workers vanished during maintenance, and passengers reported strange sightings from passing trains. Over time, the overpass earned a reputation for being haunted, drawing the curiosity of those willing to venture into the shadows. Locals speak of distant laughter and shouts heard long before any train appears. Sounds rise from the valley below and echo against the crumbling structure, carried by the wind in a way that chills those who hear them. Travelers who pause to listen often describe the voices as urgent yet fleeting, vanishing the moment one attempts to pinpoint their source. In the thick fog that rolls in after sunset, ghostly locomotives are said to emerge from the mist. Their engines glow faintly, and the air vibrates with the distant sound of wheels on rails. These phantom trains appear for only a moment, moving with the weight and momentum of real machines. only to vanish into nothingness before reaching the overpass's midpoint. Witnesses describe a surreal sensation, a mixture of awe and fear, as if the bridge itself guides these spectral travelers along their eternal path. The structure of the overpass adds to the sense of unease. Ties creak beneath imagined weight, and iron beams groan as though bearing more than their physical load. Shadows twist and stretch unnaturally in the fog, creating an impression of figures walking along the tracks, just beyond the edge of perception. Some travelers report seeing entire trains, complete with passengers dressed in outdated attire, as if the overpass is frozen in time, bridging two worlds at once. Encounters vary. Some witness the phantom trains from a distance, their lights casting eerie reflections on the ground below. Others hear conversations carried on the wind, voices indistinct yet strangely familiar. Some report the fleeting touch of an unseen hand, or the sense of being observed from the windows of empty carriages. Each account reinforces the belief that Forgotten Rails Overpass is not merely abandoned, but occupied by the memories and energies of those long gone. The surrounding environment enhances the haunting atmosphere. Fog settles low in the valley, drifting along the tracks and curling around the bridge's supports. Trees sway as though responding to the movement of invisible trains, and small animals avoid the area at night, leaving silence that is deep and oppressive. The combination of natural and supernatural elements creates an almost tangible tension for anyone who ventures near the overpass after dark. Many who visit come seeking proof, armed with cameras or recording devices. Some capture fleeting shadows or strange lights, while others find only the echo of their own footsteps and the rustle of fog against iron and wood. Regardless of physical evidence, all report a heightened sense of awareness, as if the overpass itself watches those who approach, acknowledging the presence of the living while maintaining the dominion of the spectral. The legend of the overpass persists because of its unpredictability. There is no fixed pattern to the appearances, no warning for those who might cross at the wrong time. One night may pass without incident, while another reveals phantom locomotives gliding along the tracks. Spectral passengers lean from windows, and the distant laughter of unseen crowds echoes through the night. It is a place where curiosity is met with uncertainty, and where the line between history and haunting is blurred. Despite the dangers and tales, Forgotten Rails Overpass continues to attract attention. Some are historians or paranormal enthusiasts, drawn by the stories of vanished workers and ghostly travelers. Others come simply seeking the thrill of the unknown, hoping to glimpse what few have seen and return with a story to tell. Each visitor contributes to the living memory of the overpass, adding their own experience to the fabric of legend that clings to its beams and ties. Ultimately, Forgotten Rails Overpass is more than a crumbling bridge. It is a monument to time, memory, and the unexplained. It holds the echoes of countless journeys, some never completed, and preserves them in the stillness of night. The fog, the mist, the shadows, and the distant sounds all combine to create a space where the living meet the past in fleeting encounters. Crossing the overpass is not just a matter of movement, but of awareness, of walking among the echoes of history and the lingering spirits that refuse to leave. Each visit to the overpass leaves a lasting impression. Travelers speak of lingering chills, of the weight of eyes upon them, and of the uncanny sense that the bridge itself remembers every footstep and every story. Forgotten Rails Overpass remains a place where the mundane world fades, and the echoes of trains, laughter, and ghostly passengers continue their endless passage through the mist, inviting the brave to witness what lies beyond the ordinary. By day, it gleams in the sun, a testament to human engineering and ambition. Yet as night falls, the bridge transforms, shrouded in fog and shadows that cling to the girders and rails. Locals tell spectral engineers who walk the rails, their forms faint and flickering as if caught between worlds. They move deliberately, inspecting cars that are not there, adjusting mechanisms, and checking gauges on trains that exist only in memory. Observers describe a sense of being watched, a subtle pressure in the air, as though the spirits of the bridge are aware of every movement, every step taken by the living. The bridge itself seems alive at night, Shadows shift along the beams, stretching in ways that defy logic, and the fog curls around the steel like restless spirits rising from the valley below. Sounds emerge in the dark nessa, a metallic clink, the hiss of steam, the distant grinding of wheels on railsa. Though no train has passed for decades, travelers report a sensation of cold brushing across their skin, as though the air itself carries the memories of the bridge's long history. Iron Shadow Bridge was once a hub of activity, where engineers, conductors, and laborers ensured the smooth passage of trains across the valley. Accidents occurred, some minor, others tragic, leaving a lingering energy in the structure. It is this history, some say, that animates the spectral presence that now walks the rails. Each night, the bridge replays fragments of its past, revealing a world layered with memory and echo, visible only to those willing to witness it. The steel beams glisten in the dim moonlight, creating patterns of light and shadow that seem almost deliberate. Observers have reported seeing figures pause at points along the bridge, peering over the edge of the rails, inspecting empty cars, and moving with the precision of those who once knew the bridge intimately. The air is heavy with anticipation, and even the most skeptical feel a tension that cannot be explained. Some who have crossed Iron Shadow Bridge at night describe fleeting glimpses of lanterns swaying. Fleeting glimpses of lanterns swaying, hands brushing against invisible levers, and the rhythmic stamping of boots on metal. These fleeting impressions vanish when approached, leaving only the faint echo of sound and a lingering chill. The experience is mesmerizing and unsettling, blending all with unease, and creating a sense that the bridge is a place outside of ordinary time. The valley below adds to the atmosphere of mystery. Dense forests rise along the slopes, muffling the sound of the outside world, and the river at the bottom reflects the moonlight in silvery glimmers. Fog drifts upward from the water, curling around the bridge like a living presence, softening the edges of reality and allowing the ghosts of the past to move freely across the structure. Witnesses often describe a mixture of curiosity and reverence. Some attempt to document the phenomenon with cameras or audio recorders, capturing nothing more than faint blurs or unexplained sounds. Others simply stand and watch, feeling a connection to those who once maintained the bridge and a profound sense of respect for the lingering spirits. The bridge, though abandoned, continues to hold its place as a guardian of memory and a conduit between the past and present. Iron Shadow Bridge is more than steel and bolts. It is a living archive of history and human endeavor. Every beam, rail, and ghostly figure contributes to the story of those who built, worked, and sometimes perished upon it. Nightly, it reveals these echoes to anyone willing to witness them, a delicate dance between memory, presence, and the unexplained that leaves an indelible impression on those who cross its span. To walk across Iron Shadow Bridge at night is to step into a liminal space, a threshold where the living and the spectral converge. The air carries the weight of decades, the fog conceals the impossible, and the spirits of engineers continue their silent work. It is a place of mystery, of history, and of haunting beauty, where the ordinary world meets the extraordinary in the flicker of a ghostly lantern and the echo of boots on steel. Widowmaker Trestle stretches across a deep ravine, its wooden beams weathered and creaking under decades of exposure to wind and rain. By day, it is an imposing structure, a testament to the ambition and daring of those who built it. By night, it transforms into something far more unsettling. Shadows cling to the rails, shifting and moving with an almost sentient intent. The trestle earned its name after a tragic construction accident claimed the lives of several workers. The details of that day are preserved in the memory of the land itself. Locals speak of tools left in place, unfinished beams, and a sudden silence that fell over the ravine. The spirits of those lost are said to remain, walking the rails, watching, and waiting for the living to tread where they once worked. Visitors crossing the trestle after dark often report an unnatural stillness. The air is thick and damp, carrying the scent of river and wood, but it feels charged with something unseen. Footsteps echo differently here, sometimes matching your own, sometimes coming from nowhere at all. The sense of being observed is constant, a presence felt rather than seen. and it lingers long after leaving the trestle. Ghostly lanterns are a common sight. They bob along the rails, swinging as if carried by invisible hands. Some appear distant, hovering near the middle of the trestle, while others seem to follow travelers step by step. The lanterns emit a soft, cold light. Casting long, trembling shadows that merge with the darkness of surrounding forest. Those who have seen them speak of an eerie calm, as if the trestle itself is holding its breath. The history of Widowmaker Trestle adds weight to every experience. Stories of accidents, near misses, and laborers lost to both gravity and misfortune circulate among locals. Each wooden beam is more than structural support. It is a witness to the toil, fear, and tragedy of the past. The vibrations of the trestle, subtle yet persistent, feel like echoes of those who once labored here, a reminder that the line between past and present is thin. The sound of the trestle at night are equally unnerving. The groan of timber under the wind, the occasional snap of a branch from below, and the whisper of the river far beneath the rails. Create a symphony of unease. Some have reported hearing voices in these sounds, distant and fragmented, calling out in tones that cannot be traced to any living source. Footsteps follow the rhythm of the rails, sometimes matching the pace of travelers, other times moving against it. Fog often settles in the ravine, curling around the structure and obscuring the ends of the bridge. Shadows lengthen and converge with the mist, giving the impression of movement where there is none. Figures appear to glide along the rails, some stationary, some pacing slowly. Those who approach report sudden chills, the sense of invisible hands brushing past them, and a feeling that the trestle does not want them there. Paranormal enthusiasts and photographers have documented unusual phenomena here. Cameras capture vague shapes, faint glows, and streaks of light that seem impossible. Audio devices record echoes of footsteps, faint voices, and the rhythmic creaking of timber that defies natural explanation. Skeptics may dismiss these occurrences, yet the sense of unease, the cold grip on the spine, and the feeling of unseen eyes watching are universally acknowledged by all who visit. The landscape surrounding Widowmaker Trestle amplifies its haunting presence. The river reflects no light, swallowing it entirely, and the forest holds every sound, amplifying whispers, footsteps, and groans into something larger than life. In this environment, the trestle is a threshold between the world of the living and the echoes of those long gone. Crossing Widowmaker Trestle is more than a physical journey. Each step on the wooden rails is a passage through memory, tragedy, and the lingering presence of the past. Visitors speak of a weight in the air, a pressure that is felt rather than seen, as if the trestle itself is aware of their intrusion. Every shadow, every whisper, every ghostly lantern is a reminder that the trestle is alive with memory, that some histories refuse to remain buried. By dawn, the trestle returns to its daylight form, silent and still, its shadows retreating, its spectral lanterns extinguished by the sun. Yet the stories endure. Locals continue to tell of shadowy figures, ghostly lights, and the feeling of being followed long after leaving the ravine. Widowmaker Trestle remains a bridge between worlds, a place where the past asserts its presence, and where the living can sense, but never fully grasp, the lingering spirits of those who never left. For those who venture here, the trestle is both a warning and an invitation. It is a reminder that some places carry the weight of memory and tragedy, and that some structures are never truly empty. Widowmaker Trestle waits quietly in the mist, its rails echoing with footsteps that no one can trace, its lanterns glowing softly in the darkness, and its shadows moving silently, preserving the secrets of a century-long past. By day, it appears abandoned yet sturdy, a relic of a time when coal and freight trains carried life across its span. But when night falls, the viaduct becomes a place where history lingers, and the echoes of past tragedies are felt more than seen. Visitors approaching the viaduct often describe a sudden drop in temperature, as though the air itself has grown heavy with memory. The wind carries faint metallic clatters, the sound of iron wheels on rails, though no train has passed in decades. Shadows stretch across the structure, shifting with a subtle life of their own, and the sense of being observed grows stronger with every step. The viaduct is said to be haunted by the spirits of workers who perished during its construction. Accidents were frequent in the early days, with men falling from great heights or trapped under rolling equipment. Some witnesses claim to see figures standing on the rails, frozen in the motions of labor, only to vanish when approached. Others report glimpsing lanterns swaying in empty hands, their flickering light tracing paths across the steel beams. Footsteps echo along the walkway, though no one is visible. Travelers describe hearing voices, muffled at first, growing into murmurs that seem to carry warnings. The sounds are not malicious, but they are insistent, a reminder that the viaduct holds more than just iron and timber. Some feel a pressure on their chests, a presence brushing past them as if the spirits are marking territory, ensuring that their stories are not forgotten. At times, the sensation of movement passes through the structure. Lights appear in the distance, glowing faintly along the viaduct. But when one draws closer, they vanish into the mist. The combination of sight, sound, and touch creates a hauntingly immersive experience, blurring the lines between memory and reality. History adds weight to the haunting. The viaduct was constructed in an era when safety measures were minimal and the demands of industry were absolute. Men labored in dangerous conditions, climbing the ironwork and operating heavy machinery with little protection. Tragedies left imprints on the structure, and some believe that energy remains, manifesting in forms that are half seen, half felt. Witnesses describe dark shapes standing on the rails at night. They appear as outlines at first, then more defined, resembling workers frozen mid-task. Lanterns flicker in spectral hands, and the cold air carries whispers of names, commands, and warnings. Some say the viaduct itself hums with energy, alive in a way that the living cannot fully perceive. The atmosphere is thick with tension, as if the viaduct watches those who cross it. Fog often drifts along the valley, cloaking the steel in a ghostly veil. Sound of movement echoes strangely, bending and stretching across the structure, making it impossible to tell where reality ends and memory begins. Even birds avoid the area at night, leaving a silence that is both eerie and profound. Those who linger report an overwhelming feeling of connection to the past. The presence of the lost workers is tangible, a reminder of the lives and labor that built the viaduct. Some claim to feel hands graze their arms, a soft brush against clothing, or sense a guiding presence as they navigate the narrow paths. The viaduct seems to test resolve, drawing attention to its history, while offering glimpses of a spectral world that lingers just out of reach. The haunting is subtle yet persistent. There are no violent displays, only the quiet insistence of spirits who remain tethered to the place where their lives ended. Lights, sounds, and sensations combine to create a cinematic landscape, where imagination and memory merge with physical reality. Travelers are left with the impression that the viaduct remembers, that it holds within its steel and timber the stories of those who walked it before, their echoes never fading. Black Track Viaduct endures as a monument to human labor and to the passage of time. Its haunting is a testament to lives lost and to the indelible mark of history. Visitors who cross it at night experience more than structure. They encounter a space where past and present collide, where memory manifests in lights, sounds, and shadows. Every step across the viaduct is a step into a living story, one that continues to unfold in the whispers of the wind and the distant echo of spectral trains. For those who approach with respect, Black Track Viaduct offers a glimpse into the persistence of memory, a place where the boundary between the living and the departed is thin. The chills, the sounds, and the fleeting figures serve as reminders that some places are more than the sum of their parts. The viaduct carries the weight of history, and its spirits remain silent witnesses to the passage of time, waiting for those who dare to step across the rails and feel the presence of the past come alive. Gloom Ridge Bridge stretches across the valley like a silent sentinel. By day, it appears as nothing more than a weathered structure. Its wooden ties age and its rails rusted from decades of exposure. The surrounding landscape is calm, the river below flowing steadily, and the air is still, offering little hint of the stories that linger when darkness falls. As night descends, the bridge transforms. Fog rolls in from the valley floor, curling around the supports and clinging to the rails. Shadows seem to move with a life of their own, stretching and twisting across the beams in ways that defy reason. Travelers who pause to look are often struck by the sensation of being watched, as if unseen eyes track each step along the creaking planks. Lights flicker along the rails, distant and unsteady, appearing as if carried by invisible locomotives. Those who follow the lights feel a pull, a mixture of curiosity and dread, as if the bridge itself is inviting them to witness a world that exists beyond the boundaries of the living. Ghostly whistles echo through the valley, low and mournful. They carry the timbre of engines long destroyed, resonating through the mist and bouncing off the cliffs on either side. The sound is both familiar and alien, evoking memories of travel and movement while instilling a profound sense of unease. Some say the whistles are the voices of lost passengers, eternally repeating their final journeys across the bridge. Figures sometimes appear along the rails, faint outlines that shimmer like heat waves on a summer day. They seem human, yet something is off of their movements are too deliberate, their shadows too deep. When approached, they dissolve into the fog, leaving only a chill in the air and the impression that the bridge has claimed another witness to its mysteries. Constructed in the late 1800s, it was once a vital passage for freight and passenger trains. Records speak of accidents, lost workers, and travelers who never reached their destination. Over time, these events left marks not easily erased. The bridge became a conduit for stories, experiences, and energies that linger in the spaces between wood and steel, a repository for the unexplained. Visitors describe a sensation of time bending along the bridge. Moments stretch and compress, and sounds of the past intermingle with the present. A train whistle may sound, yet no train is visible. Footsteps echo behind, yet no one is there. The wind carries whispers that rise and fall unpredictably, forming patterns too deliberate to be natural. Every visit becomes an encounter with the unknown, a delicate dance with forces that defy ordinary perception. The surrounding environment contributes to the haunting atmosphere. Trees line the approach to the bridge, their branches reaching like skeletal fingers into the fog. Water flows silently below, reflecting distorted images of the rails and the shadows above. The temperature often drops unexpectedly, and a dampness settles over the bridge as if it has absorbed the weight of countless stories. In this space, the boundary between the living and the spectral feels thin, almost permeable. Some witnesses have attempted to document their experiences, capturing fleeting lights or shadows in photographs and videos. Others rely on memory, recounting visions of ghostly trains, moving lanterns, and figures that vanish upon approach. Each account adds to the tapestry of legend surrounding Gloom Ridge Bridge, reinforcing its reputation as a place where history, tragedy, and the supernatural intersect. The unpredictability of the bridge adds to its allure. Not every night reveals its secrets. Some evenings pass in complete silence, while others are filled with the cries of phantom whistles, moving lights, and the sensation of unseen presence. Travelers learn to respect the bridge, understanding that curiosity carries its own risks. Those who linger too long may find themselves enveloped by the fog, drawn into the rhythm of a world governed by forces beyond comprehension. Despite the danger, the bridge continues to attract attention. Paranormal enthusiasts, historians, and thrill seekers venture to witness what few can explain. They report similar experiences: lights flickering, shadows moving, whispers rising with the wind. The shared experiences create a collective memory, a living legend that grows with each encounter. Gloom Ridge Bridge becomes more than wood and steel. It becomes a threshold between reality and the unseen, a space where stories breathe and linger. Crossing Gloom Ridge Bridge is more than a physical journey. It is an immersion into atmosphere and history. a walk among echoes of the past and presences that refuse to fade. Every step is a reminder that the bridge holds memory and mystery, and that the night belongs not only to the living, but also to the shadows that dwell upon it. Those who leave the bridge carry its impression long after night ends. The chill in their bones, the echo of phantom whistles, and the memory of lights moving through the fog remain with them. Gloom Ridge Bridge stands silently again by morning, waiting for the next visitor, guarding its secrets, and preserving the stories of those who dare to witness its spectral presence. Phantom Steel Crossing rises over a deep valley, its iron framework stark against a fading light. By day, the bridge is quiet, a relic of a bygone era, but as dusk settles, the atmosphere changes. As dusk settles, the atmosphere changes. Shadows lengthen across the steel, and a faint hum seems to vibrate through the structure, as though the bridge itself remembers every train that once passed along its tracks. Locals speak in hushed tones of ghost trains that traverse the crossing long after the rails fell silent. These trains carry passengers from decades past, their lives etched into the memory of the bridge. Witnesses describe the faint sound of wheels grinding against metal, echoing down into the valley below, followed by the whistle of a locomotive that vanishes before anyone can see its source. Those brave enough to approach at night report a chilling sight. Empty cars glide along the rails, yet faint glowing outlines of people sit inside. Their features hazy and indistinct, they appear as echoes of reality, trapped in motion. They peer silently out of windows, as though unaware of the world beyond their spectral train. The effect is mesmerizing and unnerving, a glimpse into a past that refuses to stay buried. The air around Phantom Steel Crossing carries a weight of anticipation. Fog drifts upward from the valley, curling around the iron beams and softening the edges of reality. The bridge seems to hold its breath, as if aware of every living visitor who dares to step onto its span. Every creak of steel, every gust of wind, feels charged with memory, amplifying the sense that the bridge is not merely a structure, but a vessel of lingering presence. Stories from the past tell of accidents and vanished trains that never reached their destinations. Some believe these events left an imprint on the bridge, anchoring fragments of those journeys to the rails. On stormy nights, the spectral trains are said to appear most vividly, their headlights cutting through the mist, illuminating empty seats, yet hinting at lives once full and now suspended in another realm. Observers describe a subtle vibration underfoot as the phantom trains pass, like a heartbeat synchronized with the bridge itself. The sound of metal on metal echoes along the valley, accompanied by soft, almost imperceptible murmurs. Some swear they hear conversations, laughter, or sighs carried on the wind, fragments of lives replaying across time. The bridge becomes a stage where history and the supernatural intersect, offering glimpses into moments long gone. The surrounding valley enhances the eerie presence. Dense trees line the edges, their silhouettes dark and still, while the river below reflects the ghostly glow of the spectral trains. Fog coils over the water, rising like smoke, blurring the boundary between the living and the dead. Every element combines to create an environment where perception falters, and the ordinary transforms into the uncanny. Witnesses often recount feelings of both wonder and dread. Cameras capture little more than blurs or faint glimmers, and audio devices pick up subtle disturbances that defy explanation. Those who linger describe a sensation of being watched, a quiet pressure that grows heavier with each passing moment. The bridge commands respect, its haunting presence a reminder that some histories cannot be left behind. Phantom Steel Crossing is more than a bridge. It is a repository of memory, a conduit for echoes of lives interrupted and journeys unfinished. Every beam, every rail, seems infused with the remnants of human endeavor, tragedy, and longing. The spectral trains, appearing night after night, serve as reminders that history persists in unexpected forms, revealing itself to those attentive enough to notice. To traverse the bridge at night is to enter a liminal space. Time feels suspended and subtle, rhythms of, and the ordinary becomes extraordinary, and the living and the spectral, where the ordinary becomes extraordinary, where the ordinary becomes extraordinary, and the spectral, where ordinary becomes extraordinary, where the 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 ordinary becomes extraordinary, where phantom steel crossing endures as a testament to the persistence of the past. The iron rails carry not only the weight of history, but the presence of those who once walked, worked, and traveled upon them. Nightly, the ghost trains return, silent witnesses to time, gliding along the bridge in an endless procession. Visitors leave with a sense of wonder and unease, knowing that the crossing is more than a path over Valia. It is a threshold where memory, history, and the unexplained converge in a quiet, haunting symphony. Hollowford's Bridge stretches across a deep ravine, its steel and timber framework disappearing into thick fog that clings to surrounding cliffs. By day, it is an impressive feat of engineering, a massive structure spanning the chasm with elegance and strength. By night, it transforms into a place of unease, where shadows gather and whispers drift across the rails like smoke. The bridge earned its reputation over decades of mysterious events. Locals tell of spectral locomotives passing through, their engines glowing faintly in the darkness, yet leaving no trace of their presence on the ground. Some say these ghost trains repeat tragedies of the past, carrying shadowy figures who vanished long ago, forever trapped in the machinery of memory. Visitors approaching Hollowford's Bridge after dusk often notice the temperature drop suddenly. The air becomes heavy, carrying a metallic tang, as if the very rails are charged with unseen energy. Footsteps on the wooden ties echo unnaturally, sometimes matching the rhythm of the visitor, other times coming from elsewhere, following, always observing. The feeling of being watched is overwhelming, and many describe it as though the bridge itself is alive, aware of every movement and thought. Shadow figures are a common sight along the rails. They are indistinct at first, pale outlines that vanish when approached, yet they reappear in the periphery of vision, moving deliberately, pacing slowly along the length of the bridge. Some seem to stand silently, staring, waiting, while others drift as if propelled by the wind, yet their movement is deliberate, purposeful, and impossible to explain. The shadows are rarely threatening in a physical sense, but their presence instills a deep, primal fear, a sense of vulnerability in the vast emptiness of the ravine. Hollowford's Bridge carries the weight of its history. Construction accidents claim numerous lives, and stories of workers disappearing without explanation persist. Tales of early travelers vanishing while crossing, of trains derailed by unknown forces, and of cries heard echoing through the mist have been passed down through generations. The bridge is more than a structure. It is a repository of grief, fear, and unresolved stories, each rail and beam holding the memory of those who never returned. The sounds here are as haunting as the visuals. The creak of steel under the wind, the groan of old timbers, and the distant rumble of phantom wheels combine into a symphony of unease. At times, whispers ride the fog, soft and unintelligible at first, but persistent. Those who pause to listen often hear their own names called in tones that seem to come from everywhere and nowhere. In tones that seem to come from everywhere and nowhere. This is a sound that lingers, clinging to mind long after leaving the bridge, compelling some to return, even when warned against it. Fog and darkness amplify the bridge's eerie presence. Dense mist often swirls along the rails, masking the far ends of structure and giving life to shadows that may not exist. Shapes appear and vanish in the corners of vision, and travelers report seeing figures at impossible distances, standing along the rails or leaning from the bridge's edges. The fog seems to carry sound, bending and echoing footsteps, and whispers into patterns that make it difficult to discern reality from illusion. Photographers and paranormal enthusiasts have documented unexplained phenomena here. Cameras capture streaks of light, faint silhouettes, and glowing orbs that appear to hover near the rails. Audio recordings reveal indistinct murmurs, footsteps, and the rhythmic clatter of wheels that cannot be traced to any physical train. Even those skeptical of the supernatural often find themselves uneasy in the presence of Hollowford's Bridge, feeling the weight of history and the persistent gaze of unseen watchers. The weight of history and the persistent gaze of unseen watchers. Crossing Hollowford Bridge is an exercise in tension and awareness. Each step on the wooden ties feels amplified, every sound magnified, and every shadow carries potential significance. Travelers describe a tangible pressure in the air, a sensation that something unseen is brushing past them, close enough to touch but never seen. The bridge challenges perception, blurring the line between natural occurrences and a lingering presence of the past, demanding caution, respect, and attention. By dawn, the bridge transforms. Shadows recede, the mist lifts, and the air returns to its normal chill. Locals speak of figures on the rails, ghostly trains that pass through unseen, and the persistent sensation that those who vanish here are absorbed into the history of the bridge itself. Hollowford's Bridge does not forget. It preserved the memory of every misstep, every lost traveler, and every whispered name. For those who venture across its length, Hollowford's Bridge offers more than a physical journey. It is a passage through memory, tragedy, and the unexplainable. It is a place where the living can feel the presence of the departed, where rails echo with footsteps that are no longer human, and where the fog conceals stories that may never be told. The bridge waits silently, its spectral trains moving endlessly, its shadow figures pacing along the rails, and its fog carrying voices that call out to anyone daring enough to linger. Hollowford's Bridge stands as a testament to both human achievement and the mysteries that resist explanation. It is the largest and most terrifying of haunted bridges, a structure that demands respect and caution. Those who approach may glimpse the impossible, hear voices not meant for living ears, and feel the presence of forces that linger long after the sun rises. The bridge is eternal, a crossing point between the known and the unseen, where history, tragedy, and the supernatural converge into a single, unforgettable experience. Each bridge holds echoes of accidents, lost lives, and ghost trains that refuse to rest. Steel and wood are more than materials here. They are conduits for memory, grief, and restless spirits. The next time you stand near an abandoned railway bridge, remember, the rails are not empty. The whistles may call your name, and a train may pass that carries passengers who have long since left the living world. Thank you for walking these haunted bridges with me tonight. May your steps stay safe, and may the ghost trains remain only stories for your journey home.